You are about to witness history in the making.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome, and a Merry Christmas to you all as well. It's Pop Culture Gamers show number 133. It's Haydn here, and I'm here as always with Steve. How are you doing, Steve?
Woohoo! It's nearly Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Well, nearly. I ordered a turkey.
Good stuff.
That was, and they nearly sold out. So,
have I ever told you the joke about the eight-legged turkey?
Yes, you did last week. I remember it very well.
I forgot that one. Yeah, okay.
That's right. You keep it locked up in there now for now, okay.
Well, if you want to hear the joke, listen to last week's show, guys. So, this is our Christmas special, so we're going to do things slightly differently this time. So what we've decided to do for the Christmas show this time is do a rundown of our top 5 games, movies, Blu-ray releases, and movie, TV, and streaming stuff as well. But before that, we'll have our normal catch-up. So, Steve, how was things going with you?
Not bad. Just a couple of things, really. My car's been playing up with the alternator.
Right.
So that took a lot of organising with my company. But nevertheless, to say that I now have a full Fiesta that I'm having temporarily, because I don't think my car's going to be touched till next year at the moment.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been.
You know, just the way the world is at the minute, and
yeah,
not a bad little Fiesta. It's got all the mod cons, push button start. You know, just is what it is really. But it's handy to have that, because then we went to see Human League in concert Saturday night, and not thinking about it really and putting my head in the right frame, but we'll get there for 6. We'll be able to get into a car park, and we'll park up. We might go and look at the Christmas lights. It's the last Saturday before Christmas, isn't it? And it was hell.
Yep.
Every man and his dog and hamster was out running around in Bournemouth, and just to say, it cost me £10 to park in an NCP car park.
Well, to be fair, they're not exactly the cheapest car parks ever.
That's all that I could find. Everywhere it was busy. It was just mental. We were going to go down to the beach, onto the promenade where they got all the Christmas stuff and that, but we didn't get a chance. And to be honest, by the time we got parked, and me faffed around with my phone because my NHS app wouldn't work to bring my COVID pass up.
Right.
And by the time literally we got in and sat down, the pint of lager, the show started. So I think they started the two support acts started a bit earlier than expected, because it did say 7:30 on the ticket, but that was really good. I have seen all 3 bands back in the 80s. I saw Human League about a couple of years ago, actually. But it was nice to see Claire Krogan with Altered Images, who I haven't seen since the early 80s, so that'd be 40 years ago. And Tom Bailey, who some of you won't know who the hell he is, but he was the lead man to the Thompson Twins.
Yeah.
And he did a good set as well.
I vaguely remember the Thompson Twins.
Yeah. And in Human League, it was the anniversary of the Dare album, which is 40 years old. I think the top song off of that was Don't You Want Me Baby, which was 40 years ago. This time it was number 1 for 5 weeks.
Crikey.
At Christmas. So, yeah, it's really good. Everyone in there was same age as me, roughly. All wearing masks.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time, but when you're drinking your beer and stuff like that, you didn't. But there's a few people that didn't wear them, but I think that's their choice.
Well,
I'm not surprised. I'm not gonna no COVID tonight, but just one thing is that I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow night they'll start to say, well, we're in lockdown after Boxing Day, but
that's certainly what the news is saying, isn't it? And then having a Conservative leadership election in January, probably. Fingers crossed it can't, but it must surely be about time now.
Yeah. So, not much more. Had to put a few things on Amazon for Christmas to tidy up the Christmas shopping. And lucky enough, they're all hopefully coming before the 24th, 23rd. I know my missus has already told me my present's going to be here on the 28th. So, and I haven't given her a list, so I haven't got a clue what that is.
Well, to be fair, I definitely know that my present for my wife's here because
it's sitting somewhere near you, probably.
It's sitting immediately behind me in the cupboard behind me, and I bought and paid for it.
You mean you're not even going to wrap it?
But actually, she has wrapped it.
Okay.
To be fair, she hasn't paid me for it, but she has wrapped it.
Right. What else is there roughly? What else turned? Oh, I think it turned up this week, didn't it? What was it? Oh yeah, Bloods. On my Waxwork subscription, an album turned up for that. But due to the world, and actually it's funny because Claire Krogan, when she was on stage, was saying about they got a new album coming out for All Images. But they said it's a bit delayed because there's a shortage of vinyl, as we're well aware. So there's still a few albums on my subscription that is going to roll over to 2022, I think, by the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed things like, Blade Runner 2049. That soundtrack on vinyl was available everywhere, and it was sort of like 18 quid. It's now over 30 quid because it's hard to get hold of.
Which version's that?
Just the normal one.
I have two.
It's just the standard, the one that has basically been everywhere. There's nothing special about it. But I was going to buy it. I thought it's about time I bought that one. Yeah. And I went to go into HMV and it was like 32 quid. I thought,
is that a double album?
No, single album. But
I'll have to look in a minute. Look at my two copies. I've got the Mondo copy.
Yeah, it's not the Mondo. It's just the normal one.
And then I got a normal one, which I've got for Christmas that year it came out as well. So but I think it's the same. I think it's a double album. It is. You saw it as a single album. Yeah. It's actually two albums in there.
All right. Yeah. I don't think it's gatefold.
No, but it is double album.
Yeah.
So hence the price.
Well, no, it was 18 quid.
Oh, was it?
That's what I'm saying. It was cheap for a record, and now it's suddenly gone up. So I don't know whether or not they've reduced the number of them that they're producing or whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought, great. Just when I decide I'm going to finally buy it, that happens.
I mean, I've got what's delayed. I mean, I've got Mission Impossible 3. It's been delayed to next year. That is the one. That's the Rabbit Foot vinyl version. And still waiting for the Sparks double album to ship with Waxwork, which is the soundtrack theoretically to the documentary movie.
Yeah.
And subscription wise, I don't know how many more we got to come, but I've seen the pressing on their not YouTube, on Instagram, but waiting for the Carrie album to come out, the double soundtrack for the Sissy Spacek movie, which I've been after that for years and years. So yeah, just a couple of bits and pieces because it is difficult. I mean, there is a lot of vinyl you can pick up on Amazon, for example, but some stuff is to just. I mean, I think what's going to happen now with the Omicron getting in the way, it could slow it down even more.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
But it is what it is. They'll be here eventually. They're bought and paid for. So anyway, how about you? What you been up to other than maybe going to the cinema, probably, from what I can gather?
Yeah, I have been going to the cinema. In a matter of fact, I think for the last 6 weeks, I've been every week.
Oh, okay.
With one thing and another. I think it was sort of like started off, it was whatever movie I watched before No Time to Die. And then it was No Time to Die. Then it was another one. Then it was another one. Then it was another one. So anyway, I've been to see the new Spider-Man movie.
Yes, it's done rather well on the box office takings, apparently.
It should do because it is the best superhero movie, and I'm going to say this, of all time.
Yeah, okay.
It beats Endgame, which was my previous best one. But it beats it in a different sort of way. But I'm not going to spoil it for everybody. All I'm going to say is, if you haven't seen it, and you've got something important, like you either go and see the movie or you don't buy your wife a Christmas present, screw the wife, you can get another one, get a divorce, get another one. Just go and see the movie.
I'm going to dig out my voucher, which I can't pre-book with. I have to take it with me.
Yeah.
So I could use it for that. But
go and see it.
Just really... looking on one of my Facebook posts to someone who I follow that gets involved with Wrong Reel. She works for Sony. And she's been involved in the promotion for it. And globally, it's 584 million so far in
a week.
Yeah, probably about a week.
Yeah, it is absolutely. Imagine everything you would want in a Spider-Man movie, and it delivers more. And that that there's been rumours. I'm not confirming or denying
No.
But all I can say is, in terms of the characters that you do know from the trailers that have appeared in that movie,
And in the press conferences.
And in the press conferences, it is so... They've tied everything up really brilliantly. They have really given it an end to Tom Holland's trilogy, which is exactly what they're going to do. But obviously, Tom Holland said he wants to come back for doing Peter Parker, the college years. And obviously, Sony want him to come back and Marvel want him to come back. So he'll come back and do another trilogy.
He will continue playing the parts, shall we say.
He will. But it's really nicely tied up everything. I'm not kidding you. This movie is a roller coaster of emotion. Because you watch some bits of it and there are some really... There's one particular bit. I sat and listened to somebody talking about it on TV or on radio or something like that. And they said, I saw this particular moment I can't tell you about. And I seriously thought I was going to start blubbering. And I was sat in the movie and thinking, this is that bit.
Yeah.
It was just so good. And it's, if it'd be critical, the beginning of the movie has a bit of an issue with a little bit of pacing, but from the moment that the characters start appearing, like Doc Ock and
I don't think people would probably notice the pacing too much because there'd be so much going on in that film that you aren't going to probably notice it too much.
And some of it is about the character development and building and about creating the scenario that Spider-Man ends up in. So it's that groundwork for everything else that's going to happen. So don't get me wrong, it's not as bad, but it's not bad pacing. It's just if you had to be super critical, you would say the first half is the weaker half of the movie. But absolutely fantastic. The best Marvel movie, the best superhero movie, hands down, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan. I've been a lifelong Spider-Man fan. It's not only fan service, it is a good movie. And that, there is a difference between a good movie and fan service. This is both and more. It delivers far and above expectations.
Yeah, what I've heard and what I've not actually seen, but what I've heard from people talking to me about it, without spoiling it. But yeah, I've been enjoying Spider-Man over the years, and if any sort of superhero from that, that side of the camp, should we say? Yeah, I will look forward to seeing it at some point, whether it's this year or next year or whenever, But
if you have the opportunity, gotta be this year.
I might be able to do it between Christmas and New Year if it's still on. But then again, The Matrix is on at the same time, and I really want to see that, so I have to make a decision which to see.
I haven't seen The Matrix, however.
It's not out yet. It's not out.
It's not out
until
the 22nd. However, I will say I am booked for the 22nd. So. And then I'll be seeing The King's Man after the 26th.
Yeah, I'm so busy at work. I've just got no time to breathe right now.
See, I've got a week and then I'm off for 2 weeks. So yeah. I've got, time coming on holiday.
But thinking from Monday onwards with what the government might say, it might put a spanner in the works.
It might do, which is another reason why I wanted to see The Matrix now rather than next week, because we might not be able to go to the cinema.
No. I think, let's not put doom and gloom on the podcast, but I mean, it's coming.
Yeah. I think what they'll say is cinemas will stay open, but you have to wear a mask.
Oh, yeah, but unless we go into lockdown, then it won't be, they'll be closed.
I don't think we'll go to lockdown.
We'll see.
I think it'll be more restrictions, and I think places like nightclubs will possibly end, apart from New Year's Eve. And of course, Downing Street for the Christmas parties.
Yeah.
So I'll sort it out for The Matrix. I've been looking at the trailers and sort of analysing them to death, and that looks
really... I've seen the clip of the film. I've seen like a 2-minute clip.
Yeah.
But I didn't really want to watch it, but I did. I couldn't. Sort of like I'm like one of those flies to a light. Can't help it. Oh.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Anyway, so that's it for me. So shall we do the first part of the show, which is our top 5 games of 2021? I'll let you go do your 5 first, Steve.
Well, we're going to do it. We're going to alternate. Should we do that? It must be a better way of doing it.
Well, I was just thinking because we've got different lists. We've got some of the same games. Odd.
That's what I'm saying. We can go 5, 5, 4, 4, 3.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Well, you go first.
Okay, so my number 5 is, I have to scroll down now because we through where I've done it. There we go. So I didn't know whether to put this in or not, but really I think I should do because I played
Loads of it.
loads of hours by looking at the screenshot. So my first one is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Although saying that it did come out for PC earlier than the year before.
It did.
But for the Series X, it was released in probably, I can't remember when it was now, was it May time? But I have to say it's well worth its place on the list. I don't think it's going to be it might not have been a lot of people's lists for the year, but I think with the way this has been built and to be on a platform such as the Xbox, other than its life as being a PC game, I think it's got every right to be there.
Yeah.
A game that will constantly evolve.
Yep.
I mean, considering I actually put it on today, and I didn't get to do a flight because I've got about 7 or 8 updates to do with another 4 gig. And I download it all. And obviously we've got stuff coming out next year because we'll have the expansion Passe, which will be for Top Gun when that comes out.
Mm. Do you know how much you've played it?
I do. What I will do while we're chatting.
I know. I've got it here. I was just checking while you were.
Oh no,
talking.
because what I'll do, because it depends if it's because I was on it today.
You've played nearly 37 hours.
But if I go onto the game, let it run. It's got my flight. You know, like you have, your flight time for flying.
Yeah.
And I think it was a bit more than that. So I don't know how it works out.
According to the Xbox Console Companion, you've done 1 day, 12 hours, 43 minutes.
Right, which is a flight, maybe one flight somewhere if you want it.
That'd be a flight around the world, wouldn't it, for that?
Yeah.
So.
But I really wanted to get on. I wanted to fly to the Isle of Scilly, or at least fly over it because I want to see how small it is.
Yeah.
Because we got some work out there, which got delayed because of the hurricane. And apparently the street is not very big. But you could carpet it in under a day if you were to do such a thing. I think again, this is one of those games which is very much community based. If I take that then, turn the sound down on the machine. Obviously, with all the people that are building their own aircraft and stuff like that to put on the marketplace. And as much as well as other expansions as well. It's something that just builds and builds. One day, the whole Xbox might only just hold that one game without an expansion.
Yeah, just imagine if one day you got that complete sort of like version of Inception with the game, and it got so detailed that within your Xbox console, you could go into a house and there's an Xbox console there where you could play Flight Simulator.
Yeah. I mean, it's that sort of game where I did purchase one plane back. Well, one plane back. It was just the Spitfire.
Yeah.
Which is really one of my favourite wartime planes that was Battle of Britain.
And you got your flight stick as well, didn't you?
I have it sitting there boxed up at the moment because I've not had a chance to get it out since I've been putting this room together. But yeah, I'd love. It's a shame we can't play this in virtual reality. This version.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if such a thing was available, but obviously I can't use my PlayStation headset for it.
I don't know if you can on PC, to be honest. I've not tried it. Got my VR headset here, but I've not tried it.
I mean, the new content, we got 5 new aircraft. We got more weather updates, new USA airports, more cities in 3D photography. There's another 14 training missions, 6 discovery flights. Because this is now the Game of the Year edition, isn't it? Which they've bundled that offer, but we just get the update. And I think there's some other missions there, including one of the fighter jets as well. But I won't purchase one yet because I'll wait till we get the Top Gun one, which will be part of the pack.
Yeah.
Visually, it's stunning. I think it's one of the most relaxing games you can play.
Unless you're about to crash.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, people say there aren't much to do in it, but with the training missions, the flights you can do, there are things to do to learn how to fly a plane.
Yeah, it's more, to me, it's less of a game and more of an experience.
Yeah, well, I think so, yeah. I totally agree with you there.
I mean, I tried it on PC and I couldn't get away with it. It wasn't for me. I don't like sort of like hyper realistic games. Do you know, like simulators? I don't it's very rare that I get really into those.
Except for lawnmower ones, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, well, those are normally a cut above.
Yeah. So if I actually, while we're here, let me go into think it's going to be profile. There we go. My pilot profile says 191 hours.
Is that in-game hours?
That's what it says.
Yeah, I wonder if it's in-game hours, because that's a big difference between the console companion, which registers how long you've been connected to a game, and actual playtime.
Some interesting figures there. Number of actual flight crashes, 5. So not too bad. Total flight time is 30. Yeah. So what did you say? 31.
32 hours 43.
Well, that's quite close to it, actually. But yeah, no, it is good fun.
Yeah.
Considering I've only done 3 training missions, I've done no bush trips yet, and I haven't done any landing challenges. So there's plenty of stuff to get on with there with that game. But maybe you should I don't know, maybe you should try on the Series X and see what you think.
I did download it, but I ended up just removing it because it's too big, and I wanted the space for something else.
I get that. I do. I mean, my Xbox Series X at the minute is probably sitting at, let's have a look. I've got 48 gig left. And that is only with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. That's 11 games on there.
Yeah.
You know, but if I was to say to you how much the game plus save data is, the save data is 41 gig. And the game is actually 114. Yeah, so that's a pretty chunk of a size.
It's a hell of a chunk of a size. It takes if you had that permanently installed on your Xbox, then it'd give you about the same amount of memory left as you would have on a PlayStation 5.
Because obviously the way this game works is you can actually play the world online if you wanted to, and that would save you 59, 60 gig.
Yeah.
But I've actually downloaded it all in case the world went apart and I could still play it. So, yeah. Okay, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is I've put this on because it's not quite my kind of game, but and I'm gonna put a caveat on this. I've restricted my top 5 to new games that were released in 2021, not games I've played, and also not older games that have been made up to 60 FPS with whatever jiggery pokery by either PlayStation or Xbox.
Well, I've only got one like that in mind, but then I'd say that's more than just an upgrade for that game because it's built from the ground up. But other than that, they're all from 2021.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I could have said, Assassin's Creed Odyssey because it's had the PS5 upgrade, blah blah blah. But no,
these are all games that have actually had a
physical release this year. So for me, I've not played that many sort of like new releases, but I think that there hasn't, in terms of good quality new releases, I feel this has been a really poor year. Unlike say like previous years, I think we've seen a lot less. There's been a lot of games released, but I don't think we've seen like the AAA blockbuster games as much as previous years this year. But for me, the number 5 is Returnal.
Okay.
So that's the PlayStation 5 roguelike shooter, where, as a shooter, it's absolutely great. I love it as a shooter. And I love the exploration aspect of it and the changing environment, which makes it a bit of a challenge to navigate your way through. And I know that as a rogue sort of type game, and it has that mechanic of resetting every time you die, but ultimately that was the thing that turned me off this game, because if you had the slightest stop of concentration or someone came to the door and you had to go, you think, I'll just put the controller down for a second, you come back and you were dead, sort of thing. And then you started the loop again, and I just ended up finding that to be quite frustrating. But I know a lot of people really love that as a challenge, and when I was playing it before, that feeling of I'm sick of doing this loop now started to kick in, I was enjoying it so much. I think what they should have done is done like the easy version, easy with inverted commas here, saying you can save at any point and you can progress that way, and then the hardcore version, which has that reset mechanic. If they'd have done that, this game would have been a perfect release for the PlayStation 5. As it happens, eventually I got fed up of it, but I really enjoyed playing it at the time. And for me, it was at the time one of the best games I played on the PS5.
Because was it the first game you played on the PS5?
No, that was Miles Morales.
Because I'm surprised, actually, I know it's not in your list. Did you play Ratchet and Clank by any chance?
No, No, I didn't. And that was also released last year, I think, as well. I think it was November
yeah,
release.
It was, wasn't it, when it came out, when the machine came out? Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so anything like, Spider-Man Morales, that's not being classified because it was a launch release. So that meant there was a few good games I couldn't really talk about, because I could have said Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but that was last year.
Yeah, that was console launch time, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, exactly. So, how I've done my list is a bit restrictive, but nevertheless,
we both done the same. They came out in 2021, wherever they are. It is.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't think an adding an enhancement to an old game is a re-release. That's just adding an enhancement.
Yeah, well, I suppose. Well, then again, I could have said
Destiny 2.
No. Well, I could actually say the expansions, because they do come out during the year. But Destiny 2 is the base game, isn't it? So
yeah.
But you got something like Alan Wake, which is a physical game that was released this year, although it was a remake.
But I almost considered putting Alan Wake on, because Alan Wake is a new game. It's a remaster of the old game, so that would be fair. But a game that was already on sale that had, last year, that has had an enhancement that's different.
Yeah.
Thinking about Assassin's Creed or games that have had enhancements that I've been playing, I don't know whether or not you're aware, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey has had some new free DLC after all these years.
Was it?
Yeah, and it's also linked to another piece of DLC, which is also on Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Is it automatic? Does it automatically download? Does it or not?
I think it's automatically as part of one of the updates, and it comes up on your mission log if you're the right level.
Oh, okay. Oh, look, Assassin's Creed needs an update.
Yeah, there you go.
Update then. There you go.
Yeah,
go for it.
It's free to download, which I think is really cool after all these years that they've just released a little bit of DLC. Because what was it, 2018, something like that? Assassin's Creed.
Really?
Yeah, because they've obviously had Valhalla, and then there was a couple of years before, wasn't there? 5th of October 2018.
God.
So a 3-year-old game has had brand new DLC. There we go. But I've almost completed it now, like 100%, including all DLC.
Yeah.
I've got I think I've got 6 trophies to get.
Another 13 gig. There you go.
Yeah. So, do you want to do your next game?
Okay, so it's going to be we're going to go backwards and forwards a little bit, but even though I haven't played enough of it, I still think it needs to be in the list, and that's the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah, that's your number 4. And that's my number 3, surprisingly enough.
Again, this may well be a redo, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
But built from the ground up with all the first 3 games, it's worthy of being in anyone's list. I mean, can't believe now it was May 2021 when this came out.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
And for such a good game that it is, I mean, I still think number 2 is my favourite of the 3. You're thinking about it now.
Yeah, I would go with that. I think it is.
But now it's only, I mean, you can pick it up at Argos for $14.99 at the moment.
I know. I mean, when you think about that, you're getting each game for £5.
Yeah.
That's a lot of game for that amount of money.
It is. I mean, the enhancements, obviously, they gave it a little tweak for the Series X. And there was
PS5.
Yeah, I was just to say for the new machine, should we say?
Yeah.
And he did a grand job of doing it. It looks superb.
And it's a fantastic story. And I'd heard a rumor that the next Mass Effect is going to be the continuing adventures of Shepard
or Shepherdess.
Yeah. Either Shepard or Femshep, whichever. Femshep sounds like a dog.
It does, doesn't it?
Femshep, come on, girl, come on. It just doesn't sound right. But the character of Shepard, whether male or female, that's supposed to be the centre in the next one. So I'd heard on a rumour. I don't know whether or not that's been confirmed or whatever. But I really hope it is. You know,
that would make you at least go and finish these 3 games, because then you'd like to think that when they'd like to grab your save,
to
continue the your path that you've taken through the 3 games, if there was to be a 4th.
Well, to be fair, the path that you've taken, barring a couple of side issues, you always end up at the same point.
But it depends, like the crew you have and who's left from the fight, who you slept with, who didn't. who's got the arse with you because you didn't sleep with them or whatever it's going to be. You know what I mean?
I think that my character slept with just about any female that was available. Well, I was trying to get the Amor or whatever it was trophy, wasn't I? Or achievement.
What's it called, the achievement for that?
It was something like L'Amour or something like that, the trophy.
Je t'aime d'amour. Something.
Yeah. But so, I tried sleeping with every character I possibly could in order to be able to get that trophy. That was the only reason why my character did that.
So you're not being very loyal, are you? Or faithful?
No.
You're being a right slut.
Yeah, why not? Having said that, though, my Alexius character in Assassin's Creed Odyssey was a stud. Unlike the person controlling him, it would be more like a press stud.
Yeah. It's just it is. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be in a lot of people's top 5 or even top 10, maybe. Depends how many games they play and what's in their list. But I just think I think it was something we've been after for quite a few years. And
ironically, immediately before this was released, to say this is coming in the next couple of weeks, because there was a very short time scale between, hey, we're going to do it, and hey, it's here. I'd started playing Mass Effect and modding it on the PC. Do you remember?
Oh, do you know I can't? I've still got my original 360 Mass Effect disc up there on the shelf.
Yeah, still got mine as well.
It won't ever get played, although you don't need it for the console, because you can actually play if you wanted to go old school. But why would you? Yeah, I don't think. Do you think they should remake another certain Mass Effect game or not? Or do you think they should really get involved with it?
What's the quote from the game? My face is hurting at that or something like that. No, I think the two main problems with Mass Effect Andromeda was the character models for the characters and the animations that link to them seem to have degenerated back to the original Xbox days.
Yeah.
As opposed to moving on to Xbox One from the 360. They just, it felt like there was a backward step in quality of graphics.
Yeah.
On the characters.
Especially their movement, actually. They moved a bit.
Well, just the faces are kind of like, they look like a cartoon character who'd had Botox.
Well, they look like they'd been sniffing some cocaine or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Not that I would know exactly what that looks like, but
I know what you mean. Something you would imagine someone would look like, but it was just such a poor sort of rendition of the game, and it was bugged and all of that. And the other thing that was better with it as well, the other big problem, was the alien Sudoku. That was.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. That was, as soon as I hit that, I was like, I'm out. I thought, I can sit and work it out, but I choose not to play Sudoku ever. Why do I want to play it as part of a game I want to enjoy, knowing I'm not going to enjoy it? And it was just sort of like, do another type of puzzle, but just don't do that for absolutely everything. And you had to do loads of them as well. That's what did my head in about the game, and that was why I walked away from it.
Yeah, definitely got burnt with that game, for sure.
I mean, I know you could go to a website and you could look up what the codes were and stuff like that, but that's not the point.
No.
So, but great the Mass Effect Legendary Collection is a fantastic thing to get, especially if you've never played it. If you were too young to play Mass Effect when it was out on the 360,
I think that'd be a great thing. I mean, I'd love to be in that position again.
Yeah,
I to be able to wipe my memory of playing this game and then just replay it now.
Yeah, it's just sort of like, could I have maybe an accident where something hit me on the head? I lost my memory of playing this game, and I get some time off work to recover, so I can play this game and enjoy it new. And then get my memory back. That would be quite cool.
Not exactly 10-second Tom, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You'd never start the game if you was him, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but no, good choice. Like I said, that was my number 3. So my number 4 is Little Nightmares 2.
Did I ever play that? I did or not, to be ridiculous.
Do you know what game it is?
Yeah, because I do own.
Little Nightmares.
I'm sure I do. Let me have a look. Yeah. While you're going to be rabbiting on.
So, for those of you who don't know, Little Nightmares 2 is a puzzle platform horror adventure from Tarsier Studios, and it's published by Bandai Namco Entertainment. And it's a sequel, or rather, the prequel to 2017's Little Nightmares. So the story precedes the events of the first game, and you follow Mono, who must work with Six, who was a protagonist from the first game, or the Little Nightmares 1, to survive the horrors of Pale City and discover what the dark secrets are.
Yeah, I got the first game. I'm just looking at it. I can see it in my list.
I loved the first game as well. It's a very sort of, in a way, traditional kind of platformer, but with that 3D aspect to it. And I just enjoyed this game so much. There is no spoken words in the game, but you can understand what the characters in the game are kind of like saying. It's not an easy game either. There are lots of things to sort of catch you out and stuff like that. And you have to, on some areas, really figure out what's going on and how you can escape a specific room and that sort of thing. And a lovely, lovely, lovely twist at the end. The end is brilliant of that game. It really does have a good twist to it. Well worth playing. You can probably pick this up quite cheap nowadays. It's available on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, and also Switch. So, unless, and I don't know if it's on Stadia or whatever, but if you've got any access to any of those, try this game. It's really good.
Yeah, I should go back to the first one, to be honest.
Yeah, I completed the first one. I didn't get 100% gamer score or trophies in it, but I did enjoy the game.
Yeah, very different, very one of a kind again, isn't it?
Sorry?
Very one of a kind sort of game.
Or two of a kind in this case.
With the for a scrolling platform the way it is.
Yeah, it's a good take on the platform genre, and the models and everything, they look so good. So definitely worth a pick up.
Absolutely.
Right, Steve, do you want to do your number 3? Because mine, I've already said mine. So
yeah. So my number 3 was one you won't have in your little list, is Halo Infinite, and I'm just classing it as I haven't really played too much of the multiplayer because that's really a separate game.
Yeah.
Because that is free to download. Mind you, so is this, but it's just two separate items, but they will be in the same platform. But I think from what we were going to get with Halo Infinite to what we got now, I'm really pleased. It was delayed, and the way the sandbox works, as much as I've played it, although again, it's other games stop you playing other games sometimes. The experience I've had so far, I've really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so the whole thing's out now, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I've not played this is because I've been concentrating solely on Odyssey because I want to 100% the game.
Yeah.
That's been to the detriment of everything else. But also I'm just still enjoying that game so much, and there's still question marks on my map that have not been opened. I couldn't believe it. I even today found another jumping point, synchronization point on the game. I thought I'd got them all, but I'd just not discovered the fact that there was one in this particular area. And even though I'd run through it several times, it had not come up. So it was just sort of like, wow. But it just goes to prove the immensity of that map. But Halo Infinite, I'm really looking forward to playing that.
I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, we've had a bit of co-op time on the other games.
Yeah, we have.
And when this music starts, it just gives me goosebumps. And it's got that feel of the old Halo with the new, it hasn't got the clunkiness of Halo that we critically moaned at most people have. But it's still got the base of what Halo is about and what it is, even with Master Chief. Obviously, with the improved graphics, he's now Batman because he's got the repelling
line.
Zip line. And because it's called Halo Infinite, I should imagine this would be the base of the rest of what they ever might release. The same way Destiny 2 works, I think you'll end up with other stuff being attached to the game, or even maybe more maps and worlds that might come onto it. Who knows? But I'd like to get through the campaign at some point. It doesn't actually tell you, because you normally can go back and see how many sort of different areas there are for the campaign.
Yes.
It doesn't really tell you, so I can't really say how much I've played, but it's an Xbox game that sits with me as what Xbox has always been about. I mean, it was its baby anyway. Have you been watching that documentary yet?
No.
So I've downloaded it or purchased it for free on the Xbox itself within the movie app. I've only just started, but I'm looking forward to getting to that part of the point where I'm only in the first chapter where they're talking about how they were railroading people in Microsoft to get, to push forward this idea of a games console. And it looks great. It plays well. If I was to say one thing, would I want it to have the same sort of shooting mechanic as Destiny? I don't know really, because I think I'm probably happy with the way it works at the moment.
Yeah.
Because it would be.
I presume it's not massively different.
Well, when you zoom in, for example, you don't have the whole weapon come in your face with a crosshair.
Yeah.
It still is to your left, to your right of you.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have a massive crosshair in the center of the screen.
Yeah.
Where it's still the same. It just zooms in a bit. If you know.
But I'm assuming left trigger still zooms in and stuff like that. The controls will feel pretty standard.
Oh yeah, they will be. Yeah. And the way that the amount of weapons you carry from your LB and RB to your sword and your sticky grenades and whichever weapon, because it will still have weapons you pick up along the way that you can discard when you've run out and you can pick something else up. But it really looks well. I mean, do you remember when everyone first got this, they used to say, look at the grass, wow, look how good that looks. But now just look at the rocks and the ground and the dirt and how that looks. It is. Yep. It is really impressive, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this story pans out. I won't say too much about how far I've got to it. I'm gonna take off again in a minute for my next part of the mission. So really good. I'd urge people to definitely give it a go. It's on Game Pass, obviously, so there's no reason why not to.
No, as long as you're subscribing to Game Pass, that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you're number 2.
Our number 2.
Number 2
is. Go on, Steve.
Forza Horizon 5.
Yay, we both agree. Second best game of the year.
And let me just boot that game up while you'll start chatting away.
I've really enjoyed playing this game. I've not played it overly. I'm trying to just sort of like do a little bit, because I'll tend to play a racing game, get fed up, and then
move on.
Whereas I'm trying to give myself bits of this. I mean, the first thing I did was went looking for all of the barns this time.
Yeah.
So I've got all of those cars. I'm waiting for some of them to be built.
It's funny how that works. The last one takes forever to get built.
Yeah, but you can pay for it to be fast built.
Oh no, I can't be asked now. It'll come when it comes. I've got enough cars to play with. Blimey, especially in this game.
But I mean, it's visually stunning. The sound's fantastic, and there's loads of variety in the game. If you want an arcadey experience for driving, who are you going to call? Forza Horizon 5.
Exactly. I think, seeing how the games have progressed over the years, I know some people moan that it's still got the same sort of things, but that's what Forza's all about.
Yeah.
From the Horizon point of view. If you took away the barn finds, then, I've got a new gift. I got one gift there. Oh, someone's dropped me a gift off in one of the barns. It's nice of them. It's got plenty to do. The map, as I say, can get very overpopulated, but my advice to you is to actually go into the filter and take out and just look what you're after, and you can just give you a bit more of a look at what you're looking at, because looking at the map when it's everything there, and it is
overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't think I've finished the story yet, believe it or not. I don't think I have.
I'm not anywhere near as far into it as you. I'm struggled to see how the seasons have worked.
Well, let's put it this way. Just going back to the story, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 6 areas to unlock.
Yeah.
With the different festivals, and they each would have 4 or 3 add-ons to the area. I've only got 1 add-on to do, and that's everything unlocked. But I haven't definitely not done everything though.
So that's the whole story then.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through the story.
Yeah, but I haven't finished off some of the big bits at the end of each area because
Right.
when I look at the accolades that you got, I've still got one locked, which might be something to do with actually finishing the story as it is. But yeah, you were going to say about the seasons. Did you want to talk about?
Yeah.
So the festival playlists.
Yeah, I sort of struggled with that because whenever I tried to do something in one of the festivals, it was saying no, and I was just sort of like, I ended up giving up on that.
What do you mean by saying no? Did you have the wrong vehicle to do some of the?
Well, you would have thought it would have given you a clue, like, you've got the wrong type of car.
It
Choose
does because
this.
well, what it does is so we've actually just changed now. We're on autumn at the moment.
Yeah, but you know how it greys out when that part of the festival's done.
Yeah, but you can go back to it because it lasts for about a week each season.
Yeah,
then it'll go back. It'll revert to them all and come back to the next one again.
Yeah, because I wanted to get the DeLorean, and then I thought I'll start playing it, and I went in, and it wouldn't let me join anything that was in the active season. There was just no option to join it. Full stop. I don't know whether or not it was glitched or what, but I tried it a couple of times, and then I just thought I can't be bothered anymore, and I just left it.
I think the season lasts about a week each time.
Yeah.
Because this one at the moment we've got 4 days to go. But what you can do if you highlight one of the different events you have to do, and you click the right thumbstick, it will tell you what the restrictions are.
Right.
So, for example, the speed trap Pyramid of the Sun, car restrictions, and Audi RS 603, and so on and so forth. There is some nice little fun things to do there to pick up.
Yeah.
What's that there? The monthly poster clean lap to complete. Is that the DeLorean there? I think it is. So I think you can pick it up there as well. Right. So there's a monthly event, which is to the far right, and it's got a picture of the DeLorean in there.
Okay.
For 4 points. So whether that means you pick it up, I don't know. There are a few Christmas things starting to appear on it as well.
Yeah.
And each week, the Forza-thon Horizon shop will change its highlighted car that it have for the week. But the autumn storm season, they call it. We got I can never say it. The Koenigsegg 1, which is one of the fastest cars in the game.
Yeah.
Which you can pick up for 25 points. So I might have a look at that. But when I look at I think I've got quite a few of those cars. Because that's K, it's right at the far end. So when I look at that, for example, I'm scrolling across. If I can find K. There we go, yeah. Yeah, so I've actually got that car, I think. Anyway, I've already purchased it somehow. Yeah, I've already got it.
Yeah, I know you've got the DeLorean.
No, I'm at the Koenigs in the.
Right, okay.
That one, yeah, because I think with the edition I got, you every now and then you pick up the wheel spins extras.
Yeah.
So I had 4 wheel spins today, which I got 9 cars out of that.
Nice.
Which was okay, because I'm up to 151 cars now. I've got 4.3 million to spend.
Blimey.
Plenty to go by, but I just love the way it works. I love the mechanics of the vehicles. They all look so good, and they all do act differently.
Yeah.
All I can say is I cannot wait for the next Forza Motorsport game, which we should see. I'd say September next year, hopefully.
Yeah, it's Forza 6, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I've forgotten because the last Forza game was a long time ago. It feels like it now, anyway.
Well, it was a couple of years ago because we had Forza 4 and now we've had Forza 5.
Yeah, but Playground Games are working on a Fable game as well, so they probably took a break from this, or there'd be a team working on the new Fable game at the moment as well.
Yeah.
Whether that will come out.
You're hoping that there is.
Well, there is, because it has been announced that they're working on the game. We've seen the trailer for it, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way the cars work, I mean, every car actually plays differently, even from pushing the B button to do some locking up of the tyres, just to do some spins. Everything just works differently. And I can't give this game enough praise for how it looks, how it feels, and where it's won some of the best racing games awards at the moment. It's fully justified as far as I'm concerned. And I think you can earn as many cars. You don't have to spend a fortune on this game.
No, you can earn them in the game.
Yeah, and well, actually, I don't think you can spend physical money other than buying the special edition.
Yeah.
Which I did. But they throw cars at you left, right, and centre.
Oh, God, yeah.
And yeah, I think I still like the idea of the wheel spin for like the fruit machine for the cars and stuff.
Yeah, I quite like the one where you get the triple spin.
Yes. What I do, I always go sigh when I get something for my character, because I'm not too fussed about that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is from that point of view. I'm not too fussed, because when you go into the, I think it's My Horizon, isn't it? I'm not too sure now. I think where it was, but anyway, yeah, you've got your character that's created. I've kept my character created from the last game. She's basically the same person. This, this does look realistic this time. You blink and you think that you're out on the roads of Mexico.
It is a very good looking game.
The reflections, everything, these little minute details you get off the cars. The sun glare at the back at the moment where I'm driving along, where that sun moves in the vehicle as the sun goes down as well. And you got the cloud mechanics, the weather mechanics in there. It's just all fantastic.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you're number one, because this is where we differ.
We do, in fact, we do. So my number one is Resident Evil Village. Now, whether you would have called that, I don't know.
I think I might have done.
Because I was umming and ahhing whether to put Forza there, but I thought, you know what? I'm really enjoying this at the moment. I've not completed the game.
Yeah.
It's a slightly different version of how the game plays out compared to the last one. And again, this has had a few awards itself over the last couple of weeks. And I think this one, I urge people to play as well.
Yeah.
It's not as scary.
No.
But it has the scary elements in it. But
and also the enemies are kind of like much more limited to their territories as well, and sort of scripted, aren't they, than some of the other games?
I think they are most of the games. I mean, you'll go down the corridor in Resident Evil 2 and you might pick up a rabid dog of some kind chasing you.
Yeah.
But no, I think the characters in this game are very much lifelike. I think the way they portray them to bring them to life, just walking around the castle mansion, the atmosphere it gives off in the dark, gloomy area that it sets in, superb. And I say this is nice that they've actually it does join to the last story from the last game.
Yeah,
that's all quite relevant. And yeah, again, this one I think you can pick up pretty cheap now.
Yeah, it's not too expensive.
Is it on Game Pass? I don't think it is it?
Did you saw the video, didn't you? Because the Madame, whatever her name is.
Oh yes.
Yeah, they've highly sexualized that on some videos, haven't they? They've got one where someone's modded it so that you have to go around smacking her backside and stuff like that.
Oh god, yeah. Oh yeah, there's plenty of that.
Yeah.
I'm just looking. I
mean, quite why you would be, find somebody who's like 8 foot tall in any way that, I suppose whatever floats your boat, but it's weird the things that people do to video games.
Yeah, but the actress that portrayed the character, it's very stunning in her own right.
Yeah.
So whether or not they did use her to a certain degree for the character, I don't really know, to be honest. Just trying to see if any of the Resident, because some of the Resident Evil games are on there, aren't they? I'm not too sure if they are or not. Well, maybe they're not then. I can't see them there. But anyway, yeah, it's probably pretty. If you go into the Microsoft Store, I'm sure it's pretty cheap to purchase. Well worth it too. Anyway, what's in your? Because I'm actually not looking on the screen at the minute, so I don't even know what's on your number one.
My one is Hitman 3.
Oh, that is very much a beloved franchise of yours, isn't
it? Yeah, I mean, it never used to be years ago, but particularly with these 3 Hitman games and Absolution before that, definitely something that I was into. This is obviously the conclusion to the Hitman 3 trilogy, which is great. Great because I think they're going on to do Bond games next, so I understand.
Yes, they are, yeah.
So in terms of Hitman 3, what I love about the games is the fact that there is so much variety in the games. They have the things like the elusive target, stuff like that. There's new stuff every month. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I really enjoy the franchise. There's loads of variety for how you can complete a level, or you can like I said, there's loads of variety. You can either do a stealthy sneak, you can get dressed up as other characters and infiltrate places that way, or you can do whatever you like. And what I really like the way that they've done with these 3 games is on the 3rd game, if you have Hitman 1 and 2, and then you have them installed on your machine, you can play the levels from Hitman 1 and 2 in Hitman 3.
Oh, okay.
But that's using a new engine and everything that comes in that. So, and they did that with Hitman 2 with Hitman 1 as well. So that's really good. You know, it means that you've got loads of content and it revitalizes some of your older versions of the game as well. But I completed this game, absolutely loved it, fantastic, brilliant. Jobs are good.
I haven't played them for a while. I think I knew which Hitman I played. What was the last one I played? Was when you had the beginning and scene in the shower. If that's right, I'm not sure. Remember now. Was it Hitman 2? Maybe I can't remember. I don't think I actually own them. Even on the Xbox, I'm looking for Hitman, and I can't see that I've got any there. To be honest, just trying to see. I can't actually see. I can see a lot of Resident Evil games in my list, but
I was sure that Hitman, was it 1 or 2, was given away with Games of Gold.
Yeah.
At one point, maybe you didn't add it to your list. They are really good games. You should try them, Steve, if you've not had a go.
Yeah, no, I have played. I do remember playing some of the games back in the day. So I've got what have I got here? I've got the first Hitman.
Yeah.
And Games for Gold. Yeah. Oh look, I can download that regardless. Yeah, look at that.
There you go.
I think it's only though. So is that one there? It's got the white background with him with a briefcase and a sidearm with a silencer on it.
Yeah. There's a lot of good content in the Hitman games. So many different ways of killing people. You know, you can make things look like accidents. You can go in all guns blazing. You probably won't live very long, but you can. Or you can do that stealth run.
Yes, you know, that might have been this Hitman might have been the last one I played actually. I'll leave the video running while you're chatting about it.
Well, you want to try Hitman 3 because the environments are really beautiful. There's a lot of variety in the environments as well. There's like a great, I don't know whether it's Scottish or whatever, but sort of like, you know, big mansion for you to do, and you can get dressed up as a sort of like Sherlock Holmes type detective on it and stuff like that. So many different weird and wacky costumes that you can put on. And it's all about really learning the patterns in terms of what characters do and, you know, the timings of all of those events, because the game is one where repetition and playing the same level but then playing it differently to achieve the same goal really it pays off. And this is why I think you'd like it, because you like doing that sort of like repetitious stuff because of Destiny. And, you know, sometimes we attack problems in different directions, and that's why I think you'd probably like this.
Yeah, I think this is the game of the. Is this the game of the year edition? I think it might.
It might be now, but I got it at the beginning of the year, so it was just Hitman 3.
No, Hitman, the first one.
Yeah, I think it probably was game of the year edition, because there was the one with all of the DLC, and then there's the one with the DLC plus Patient Zero, which was another bonus level, which wasn't.
I remember back in the day there was one. It was when I played, and I was in a marketplace, and there's this person you take out, but I ended up poisoning him or her with food.
Yeah.
Instead of using a weapon of any kind.
I think that was one on the boat, wasn't it?
No, this was in a marketplace in some village.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know the one. Yeah, I know the level. Yeah.
And I remember having to poison them. That was a good way. I went into the kitchens. I got some food out and was able to place it in the place that she'd pick it up or he'd pick it up to take them out. But I'm downloading that Hitman I've got here on in my list of Xbox games for gold, which is huge, by the way, when I look at it.
Oh yeah, hundreds of games.
I don't download every game because there's some games I'm just not going to play.
Do you add them?
Depends. I mean, games for gold. I've got Escapist, so I don't need that one. Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet. I mean, actually, what I'll do is I'll get that now because that was supposed to be quite good, wasn't it? Did you play that?
Which one? Sorry.
Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet.
A long time ago. I can't remember much of it.
I will get Tropico 5 because I've never played those games.
I've played all of those. Like SimCity sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I played it on the PC back in the day.
Yeah, it's SimCity, but you're a dictator.
Yeah. Let me go into it.
Anyway, while Steve's adding his games to his...
Yeah, while I'm adding my games,
Shall we move on
carry
to our top 5 cinema releases?
Let's go for it.
Okay.
Hi everyone, it's Mark Tudor here. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Haydn and Steve for taking the time and effort required to put the podcast together each week. It really is appreciated. And also to just wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and New Year. Thanks guys, and keep up the great work.
So, Steve, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is David Gordon Green's Halloween Kills.
Okay.
Very much a delayed movie, again, due to COVID.
Yeah.
But what I was looking forward to, now there are some fors and against this movie. Whereas it's not the perfect Halloween flick, but we do have the good score from John Carpenter, his son Cody, and his godson Daniel Davis. I've got the album now. I'll pick that up. There's high points and low points in this film, where the high points, I did love the kills in it. Very, very gruesome. But the scenes in the hospital did get me down a bit, and it was a bit wrong for me how that planned out, with the attack on everyone going against Michael in the town. But overall, I just did enjoy it, and I just look forward to part 3 when that comes out October next year, hopefully. All well and good.
Fair enough.
I haven't decided to pick this up yet. It's probably coming out, I think, in February, January next year. But I'm sure I probably will do, because I've added it to my collection. So, yeah, I think really, good fun film from my point of view. Okay, what's your number 5?
My number 5, and I'm going to say the big caveat here, I've not seen The Matrix 4 or The King's Man, which I have a feeling that this would knock my number 5 off that list. And I've literally kept it to movies I've seen at the cinema. But my number 5 is Dune.
Okay.
So obviously this is a story based on one of my favourite set of books of all time. And in that respect, I will be honest, I'm extremely biased as a result of that.
There's nothing wrong with being biased.
No. The book is, I think, exceptionally difficult to translate to the silver screen due to the way that the narrative style is within the book, which seamlessly flows from the different characters' actions and, comments on what they've said to their internal monologues, and there isn't any gap in between that. It just goes on, quite seamlessly to it, and it's due to that narrative style and the characters' thoughts that's the method that the story and the details of the story are carried forward in the book. But you can't do it so much as well on a film. This is something that David Lynch struggled with in the 1985 version of the movie, which in my opinion, it's one of those Marmite movies, but in my opinion, it's a classic movie.
Oh, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie at all. But in terms of that whole thing, I think David Lynch actually did it well, because he actually gave the internal monologues of the characters, because you would see the character and you would hear the voice, but they're not talking, so you knew it was their internal monologue.
Yeah.
But they didn't do it in this way. Instead, it was them in 1 or 2 points. It was them, sort of like turning round away from Paul Atreides and going, "Could he be the one? Could he, could he be the Kwisatz Haderach?" And it just sort of like, people wouldn't do that in real life. It just looked odd. Do you think with the technology we have today in movies that if David Lynch had, I think it would have been a better movie. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'm just watching the trailer for Dune on Xbox. It's $15.99. Anyone wants to purchase it there?
Yeah. And it's coming out on 4K very shortly as well. But the movie is quite faithful to the book, even though it's only half of it. And there are things that are in this book that are not in the David Lynch version. Like, for example, a lot of the communication was done by hand signals in the book, and that was translated into this movie as well. But what is different is the fact that key characters like Emperor Shaddam IV and the Phaedra Uther are not present in the movie at all, which is odd to say the least, because they're sort of like main characters. And if you've watched the other Dune, that Phaedra Uther is the character that is played by Sting in that movie. So there are strange things that are missing, and some things that have been put in which weren't in David Lynch's version of the movie. My opinion is here that David Villeneuve has really taken on, he's been clearly aiming at making this a visual treat with a unique look and feel of unmatched epicness. That's what he was going for. The world itself, the whole world feels real. It feels whole. The environments look like you could go there. The ships look like you could get on them and travel to another planet or fly across the planet or whatever. So in that respect, and the battles, the battle sequences, they're just a visual treat as well, with the way that the shields work and stuff like that. The visuals are vast. They're very stylized. Timothy Chalamet plays a good Paul Atreides. I still like Carl McLaughlin's one more, to be fair, but we all have our favourites. And while the epicness of Dune is, clearly the movies, or the attempt at getting there is clearly what people would think would be the strength. It's also its absolute weakness of the movie as well, because the pacing of this movie is shot to bits.
Slow as?
If it was, I'm not kidding you, an asthmatic ant being given the wrong address with the wrong sense of direction and no compass and not knowing where it was, not speaking the same language as everybody else and asking directions of aliens who've never visited the planet would find its direction quicker than this movie. It's just so slow, and most of it is dreamlike sequences with Zendaya taking up most of the slowness. The other thing as well, and now I love Hans Zimmer. He's a great composer, he's one of my favourites. But the slowness of this movie is not helped by Hans Zimmer's really surprisingly uninspiring score of the movie, which the most of it is normally a series of long notes rather than an actual epic soundtrack. So, bring back Toto and the Brian Eno, Roger Eno and Daniel Lanosis score, because that was far better. So I've been quite savage there. I know that. But overall, the approach to Dune, which is exceptionally slow, does not translate the plot well. My son didn't understand the movie at all. And I think if he'd have watched the David Lynch version, he would have done. And I think the movie takes itself too seriously. And it's that failing to capture what it aims to achieve is the problem with the movie. Don't get me wrong, you'll watch it, you'll get a visually stunning treat, you will get the Dune story, but it could have been so much better. And if it had have tried to stop being what it was trying to be and just be itself,
it's got a good cast there.
I'm not saying it hasn't. You've got what do you call it, who played Poe Dameron on there as well. He's Duke Leto Atreides. The guy who was on Mamma Mia and the Marvel movies, he's on that as well. He's
you got Dave Bautista.
Yeah, Dave Bautista.
You've got I can never say Zendaya, who was in obviously Spider-Man as well.
Zendaya, yeah. Well, you say that, yeah. You've got for about, if you discount the Moody Dream sequences, which just shows you lens flare captures of her walking around in the thing, you've actually got about 2 minutes of her acting in it.
What, in the whole Dune movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, one of my favourite actors is Rebecca Ferguson, who's actually stunning.
Yeah, she's Paul's mother, isn't she?
Yeah. Lady Jessica, yeah. And obviously, for me, she rocks in the Mission Impossible movies. She's fantastic.
Yeah, and she's really good in this. There's nothing the matter with the cast. The acting's great. It's just the pacing of the movie. And it's like one of your other movies of stop doing slow motion in movies so much. when you actually get a movie that a third of the movie is slow motion, you've done it too much, Zack Snyder.
Don't spoil my top 5. Hey.
So, but I'm not saying it's a terrible movie. You'll enjoy it, but as somebody who knows the content, this is a fail for me, because they took themselves too seriously. They needed to just take a chill pill, let it be what it was, stop trying to, look cool, and actually give us the movie that we want, and it would have been a better movie. That's my opinion on it anyway. So, but like I said, still in my top 5, but that's probably because I've only seen about 6 or 7 movies at the cinema.
Well, I haven't seen as many as I want to see, because
No,
it's just time and effort and money and all that.
Yeah.
So the only films I'm talking about are the ones I've actually physically seen that are favourites of mine.
Yeah.
And obviously, whether or not Spider-Man if I'd have seen Spider-Man, would it be in there? I don't know. To be honest, there's films I haven't put in this list which I really enjoyed, which was the Fear movies, the 3 of those.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult, but I'm thinking, what movies would I watch the most again and again? I think that's how I sort of work it.
Yeah.
I think your top 5 is gonna be films that you've really enjoyed that you'd probably watch again and again and again, I think.
Yeah, but I would go back to David Lynch's movie over this version.
Well, we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yeah. Go on then. What's your
So my number 2 is a music documentary, and it's a movie at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it was directed by Edgar Wright, and it's the Sparks Brothers. So I have talked about this before briefly in one of the shows, but the Sparks are a set of brothers that have been in the music industry for 50 years.
Uh-huh.
And they're one of those bands where, well, you see brothers in the music industry that they end up splitting up, arguing, and they don't seem to get on. Where Ron and Russell Mael have seemed to have just gelled and consistently reinvented themselves through 5 decades of music. And as the tagline goes, the band's favourite band. So whenever their bands are talking on the road, it all leads to one band, and that's Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
It covers all 25 albums that they've actually released.
Wow.
Through the, I can't remember how long the documentary lasts for.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do like is the way that Edgar Wright decided to get people who like Sparks to talk about Sparks. And, for example, just a few examples in there. Not that you might know who Rusty Egan is from Visage, to Giorgio Moroder, Beck. Who else we got here? I can't think of Steve Jones, who's one of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah.
You've got John Taylor and Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran. Mike Myers himself talks about Sparks because it's sort of influenced him. So all these people talk about their thoughts and how much they enjoyed the band in their lives, as well as cutting in with Ron and Russell, talking about their career from being teenagers to now, basically. And I just think if there's a music documentary how it should be done, Edgar Wright got it off to a T. It is quite late. I think it's over 2 hours long, and I can't remember how many times I've watched this now. I do own it digitally. I do own a Blu-ray copy as well, and I wanted the Blu-ray because it comes with the full live concert from London on the second disc. And I think if you love a band as much as I love Sparks, I think it works for you, And I think for people that if they do like music, and they may well have heard of Sparks over the years and not realised it, I think it's worth a watch for if you're ever interested in that guy that looks like Hitler. That was way it was looked at when they came over. I mean, this band when they started out, they didn't do well in the States. They came to the UK, but people thought that Sparks were a British band, but they weren't. They were actually American. Eventually they got to Top of the Pops, and God, we're talking early 70s now, and it's something else. And I don't think a lot of people like the movie, but there's a movie called Roller Coaster,
right,
which is like a disaster movie set passe. And they're in that. Kiss. They wanted Kiss to do the scenes for the rock band performing below the new roller coaster in this sort of movie. But Sparks got the gig, and very well done to them too, because I do enjoy seeing them on there. They're pretty cool, really good guys, and I like the way that they can reinvent themselves every few years and bring another album out and do the way they are. I'm sure they'll bring another album out soon as well. I put money that there'll be another one coming out, maybe their 26th album. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Okay, so what's your number 3?
I'm just going to look at yours for a minute.
We are different here.
Oh, we are different. So my number 3 is No Time to Die.
That's my number 2.
Yeah. And do you want to go this time more before I?
Yeah, okay. I'd say for me, obviously Daniel Craig's last outing, and while I've loved the ongoing story arc of the Daniel Craig era, for me, this is the first time that Daniel Craig has played James Bond and not Jason Bourne, because all of the other movies have felt like a Jason Bourne movie to me. They've not felt like James Bond.
Yeah.
Whereas this one actually felt like a Bond movie. It's great action sequences almost from the very beginning. Without spoiling the end.
It was a good ending.
Yeah. Well, without spoiling the end, they went for a, inverted commas, radical ending using a very tired now movie trope that has become increasingly popular over the last 10 years as an idea to shock you that they would do this. And I was sat there with my son, and he turned around and said, "How did you know?" Because I'd said to him,
you said you did, yeah.
4 months before the movie, before anybody was talking about it, I think they're going to do this. And I was absolutely right. And I just find that so disappointing that they went that way, because it was predictable. For the narrative of the story, it was right. And we know it's not the end of James Bond.
It never is.
Because we know James Bond is coming back. Whether or not that is James Bond as we know it, or whether or not that is Jamie Bond, or
no, I did.
Whatever.
I did read a piece over the last week from the producers saying that they're not going to go radical with it.
Thank God for that, because they ruin a lot of things doing radical stuff. They should write new stuff for the things that they're going radical with, as opposed to overwriting years of history. And I think, isn't it, what do you call it, who plays The Witcher?
Henry Cavill, yeah.
Yeah, he's currently highest tipped. Personally,
he is, for me, the next James Bond.
I would go with him. He'd be my number 2, but my number 1's still Tom Hiddleston.
Not too sure.
You look at him in The Night Watch, or Watchman, or Porter, or whatever the heck it was called, and that'll change your mind.
I know where you're coming from.
He's got that British look. He's got what I think you could say would be a Bond look.
I think Henry Cavill can do the same, personally.
I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying out of the two, I would prefer Tom Hiddleston. Definitely prefer Tom Hiddleston out of the two.
I don't think he's in the running, though, is he?
Yeah, he's in the running, evidently. But I'll tell you what, also, Richard Madden.
I'm not even sure who he is, actually, off the top of my head.
Eternal's the guy who has beams coming out of his eyes, or he was on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I'd have to Google him.
Yeah, well, I think Richard Madden would be another good one as well.
I mean, this isn't a bad Bond movie, by far.
Oh, it's a very good Bond movie. It's one of the better ones.
If I was to say the worst one out of Daniel Craig's era would be Quantum of Solace.
No, I would say Spectre, because I think that Spectre is the worst Bond movie ever created because of what they did in it. They ruined years of Bond by having Blofeld suddenly, knowingly, being Bond's adoptive brother or foster brother. That was
I can take or leave that, to be honest.
That was nearly a bad. I'm sure that they must have had Ryan Johnson actually do that bit of the script. It was so bad. It was terrible. It was a terrible choice. They should never have done it. But what it did do was draw a line on the previous ones and saying this is Bond in another universe. It's not it's not a continuation of the same character. But it was so poor and such a modern trope that everybody has to be related to everybody.
Well, they could bring Blofeld back with another Bond, but it wouldn't be anything to do with this Bond anyway, would it? So,
Well, you don't know. They might. This is James Bond we're talking about. James Bond could be hit point blank on the head with a nuclear missile and he'd survive. You know, he's James Bond.
Or not, as the case may be.
Or not. I do hope they don't go down the lines of James Bond is a name that whoever takes over when he takes the role of 007.
You see,
that would be stupid.
What I think they need to do now, because of how the way this finished,
yeah,
I'm not sure whether or not they should use the rest of the cast.
No, they should reset the whole franchise.
Because if you're going to use M, I think you should have a new M, because otherwise it would link you to Daniel Craig still, and that would throw that out.
Yeah, a new Moneypenny, everyone, because and a new Q, because that was the problem with the move from Pierce Brosnan to Daniel Craig was M. And don't get me wrong, Dame Judi Dench is fantastic as M, absolutely brilliant. But the problem was that in the Pierce Brosnan movies, she inherited Bond as a bit of a dinosaur of an agent. Whereas
said that about him anyway.
she said that in the movie, but then Casino Royale is about him becoming an agent and she makes him a 00. So that's a continuity error through and through. So for me, I think you're right. Reset the whole cast. No one the same.
I mean, they could still set it back. They could even set it in the 60s.
Yeah,
if they wanted to.
Or the 80s. That was a good era.
Yeah, or even the 70s.
No, the 80s had the best music.
And
you had the fall of the Cold War. Could make it all about that.
Yeah, you see, I don't know whether or not they got some other short stories that Ian Fleming had done that maybe that's been used.
I think that the problem with, because you said that the worst Craig one was Quantum of Solace. I think the problem there was the plot, because the plot was, I want to take over your water supply and charge you more money.
Well, that's probably pretty true these days, but yeah, but it was.
That's called Yorkshire Water. That's not called Quantum of Solace.
I don't know about Bournemouth Water, but
Bournemouth Water or wherever.
Excuse me, if you hear rapping, I'm just unwrapping a Mars bar celebration. It's the last one out of the tin.
Yeah, it's actually Steve wants to feel like a giant and pretend it's a real size Mars bar.
Yeah, I wish. No, this is now the new size.
Yeah, that's the jumbo.
But I think they'll have to, I'm probably going to pick this up at some point.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get it day one release, no doubt.
I'm not sure. Actually, I'm not even sure because I did cancel my original release because I was doing different change of addresses.
Yeah.
Because I still don't own any Bond movie in 4K theoretically yet anyway.
No, neither do I.
On a side note, so we know that the Apple TV?
Yeah.
Is coming to Sky.
It's already here, isn't it?
And it's now. It started, I think.
Sure, I've got the app already.
Yeah, but it's on Sky.
All right, okay. As a channel?
Yeah, I think as an app, probably. I haven't tried to log into mine yet. But James Bond, well, I say James Bond, there's going to be a music documentary on Bond.
Cool.
Which is going to be released. Whether that's going to be chargeable, I don't know, because I can log into Apple TV theoretically, but obviously some of that's chargeable, isn't it, the way that works?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to get access to that, there's one of my shows.
Yeah, I know. You was going to say that. When we come to talk to TV, we're talking about
when we get to that, because I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah. But I need to check it out on Sky because I say Peacock just arrived recently.
Yeah.
I think Apple TV's just arrived. We got Paramount Plus coming next year as well to Sky. That'd be free.
I've on Xbox there's the Apple TV app now as well that's been tested.
Yeah, I've actually played with it on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Already. So anyway, we're rambling on here. Do you want to go to your
third one? Yeah. So my third one is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So this is not a Marvel character I've ever really been aware of, particularly, shall we say. It's not one I was popular when I was young, not one I followed or anything. Being honest, it's a very sort of formulaic Marvel movie, but it doesn't overly suffer from that as a result. Where Black Widow did, Black Widow was still an enjoyable movie. I enjoyed seeing it at the cinema, blah blah blah. But it was a very average movie, whereas this one I think is one of the better solo movies. It's the cast is really good. There's some really great Easter eggs. Trevor Slattery, played by Ben Kingsley, is back as the fake Mandarin, and obviously you get the real Mandarin. And it's a lovely sort of scene where he's saying, you know, he tried to the taking a mick and saying, like, you know, an evil genius who's named after an orange, sort of thing, which was quite funny. But it was just it was somehow the same but different. I think that it was a lighter-hearted Marvel release. There was a lot more comic relief, but not in a silly way. The fact that it ties it back to the Ed Norton version of the Hulk, which was obviously the second movie in Marvel Phase 1 for the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Because I forgot what it's called, but you know, the other Hulk that was in that movie. My brain's gone. It's Sunday evening. It's 10 to 9. That's why I can't think of the Abomination. That's it. So the Abomination was in it, as was Wong, who coincidentally, by the way, because Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange blipped for 5 years, Wong is now the supreme sorcerer in the Marvel universe, not Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
So that was just a little interesting thing. But they have a fight in this movie, which was quite good.
Is that a spoiler? Are you actually?
No, it's pretty much. To be fair, this movie's been out for 6 months. I think it's pretty fair enough to say that two characters have a cameo. Who they are, I don't think.
I haven't seen this yet myself, to be honest.
It's just an enjoyable Marvel movie. You know, it's better than your average movie, but it's not perfect. It's certainly not as good as my number one movie, which I'll talk about shortly. But yeah,
I'm about to have a look now.
Yeah. I really, really enjoyed it. It felt like Marvel were getting back to form, shall we say, after a bit of a blip.
Well, they had a big blip, to be honest.
Somebody must have been clicking some Infinity Gauntlet at that point, I think. Yeah, so definitely worth picking up. I'm getting that on 4K. By the way, while we've been talking as well, I've also ordered Bond for tomorrow.
Is it
4K tomorrow? Yeah.
Let me look.
20th.
We've got some Christmas presents coming tomorrow. I'm home tomorrow, so they're all going to be coming at the same time.
But obviously, Shang-Chi as well is going to be forming part of the new Phase 4. That is good. You know, when they have their inevitable, you know, multi-movie end game type of movie again, they're obviously going to be using them in the movie.
Yeah.
They're going to be part of the Avengers. So, anyhow, what's your movie, Steve?
My movie?
Well, actually, no, this is your next movie. This is your number 2.
Yeah, number 2. My number 2 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know you're going to moan. I know you're going to sigh.
Yeah, I've already done both of those, and that was before you even said I know you're going to moan and sigh.
I just really love this version of the movie. As much as I got on with Joss Whedon's version, and let's be honest, it was in a bit of a mess. It was all over the show. To get a film that's 4 hours, 2 minutes long, I think it's a bit of a bonus from my point of view. If you like a film that much, you don't want as much of it as you want. You just love to have the movie. It's not enough has been told about Justice League, really, I think. We haven't had too much of that. And where DC's a bit behind Marvel, which we can all agree on. Yeah. It's nice to have all that goodness in one little bundle. I know some people might react differently regarding its presentation, which is in within 4:3, which was the director's choice.
He did it for the IMAX screens, but it was a terrible, terrible choice.
I mean, my Blu-ray copy is the same. It's still 4:3.
Yeah, it was a terrible director's decision to make the movie for home cinema in that, because everybody will accept a band at the top and the bottom of the screen, but not at the left and the right.
I don't think we can understand. I don't think we get on. No one in their right head can get on with it. Even if you're going to watch something like Star Trek Next Generation, you're going to have lines down the side. Yeah, it was made in 4:3.
But it doesn't mean that you have to like it.
No. But regardless of that slight flaw, it's a good film.
That major flaw.
That slight flaw, it is a good film. And
it wouldn't pass building inspection, mate, at that, I'll tell you.
No, the council might be a little bit miffed about that, but nevertheless,
they do not tick down.
Yeah, I think it's a good version of the film.
And that's fair. You really enjoyed it. I watched it. I was bored to tears. I really, but I respect the fact that you like.
I mean, I think I like Marvel movies, and I've got my favourites and not my favourites, but I do love DC a lot as well, and
I love DC.
I'm so looking forward to the new Flash movie.
I hope it's good.
From what I've seen of it so far, and I'm hoping it'll be really good.
I hope it's good because the Flash TV show's really bad now.
I haven't finished this season yet. I do have them on my box to watch, but yeah. I know it's going a bit downhill, unfortunately, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
But I will at some point get to them. But this film I really enjoy this. I think there's more pluses than minuses for me on this film.
Just out of curiosity, because someone has actually worked this out, how much in seconds of Zack Snyder's cut?
I don't know.
just give a guess in seconds. How long?
Because the first 10 minutes were in slow-mo, aren't they? It was at 5 minutes really, at the beginning. When you got Superman being a bit miffed, but
yeah.
I mean, that's like saying that people were a bit miffed with J.J. Abrams' lens flare.
Oh, well, people were. That was the whole point.
But that worked well. I like the idea of lens flare. I didn't know.
Yeah, I did, but you got a bit sick of it about a quarter of the way into the movie.
Yeah, but I think in the Star Trek movie, I think for that, personally.
Well, out of the 3 hour and 53 time scale, there is 14,513 seconds in slow motion. That's 9.97% of the movie.
You don't notice it though.
You do.
I mean, you got a bit of slow mo for Wonder Woman because she runs so fast that they do that for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but it was a bit of overdone.
But
it means what in every
I don't think
it
gives any detriment to the movie itself.
I agree to disagree.
But you don't like the film full stop anyway.
I think that the original version was better. And I'm not a big fan of the original. I think that the problem is that the good superhero movies was always DC, Superman, Batman, etc., etc. But I don't think they can get it together with the new superheroes.
In what way? What do you mean by new superheroes?
Well, the Henry Cavill and onwards sort of group. Wonder Woman, yeah, that was good. Wonder Woman 1984, yeah.
That was okay, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, that was sort of like Black Widow level.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, okay, that was all right.
I know they introduced. I mean, I think they should have introduced. I think the Flash movie should have come before Justice League, personally.
Yeah.
That might have been a better way to do it, but nevertheless, I am looking forward to it.
That's fine. There's nothing the matter with that, but. I mean, the character of Darkseid in this movie, it looked like a CGI cow. It looked odd. It didn't look menacing. It looked peculiar.
Well, not all characters in CGI are menacing, are they? It
was a big bad guy.
I mean, bad guys and bad guys. You've got. Excuse my squeaky chair, but you have to put up with that, Fred. That's just the production design that came about. We can't really say yeah or nay to that.
But they changed it from one to the other, and I didn't like the design in the first one, and I just thought it didn't work even more on the second. What did you think about the going to the future and the past sort of stuff as well?
I was okay with that. I mean, there are some scenes in it that we might never find out the reason for it.
Yeah.
Because there might be more to be dream sequences rather than anything else. Especially near the end of the movie, if you got that far.
I finished it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not.
But what it needs now, it needs another movie afterwards to tie that in.
Yeah, it does.
But it may not ever happen. Not because that's a bad movie, because it's earned its money.
Yeah, when you've gone from the nice colour ranges of the previous ones, even like the Batman Begins, the Dark Knight Rises, and the Dark, all of those ones, that they had, there were dark movies, but they still had plenty of colour range and stuff like that.
Do you think, though, if that film was 16:9 and it wasn't 4 with 3, because you might have a different perspective on it.
Not much, no. It would be better, but I still don't. It was just the only thing I can say that is positive about this is it made Cyborg and the Flash a little bit more rounded.
Well, it did, especially for Cyborg, because his character was a bit odd.
Yeah.
And you didn't know, you got to know more, you understood his character, why he's the way he was.
Yeah.
I mean, he may not be the greatest character in the DC universe. You know, maybe they could have chosen another character.
Thinking of the DC universe, you should watch Titans on Netflix.
Yeah, I know.
New season's just released. Yeah.
Mm. But I really enjoyed it. I got a big kick out of it.
That's fair enough.
Why I put it before Bond? Because I think Bond had its own problems. But
yeah,
I think on another day of the week, I might have put Halloween further up the list. It just depends at the time.
Yeah.
Any list is not defining, and it's always subject to change.
Yeah, it's subjective,
especially when we come to our Blu-rays.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm really thinking. I was looking at my list. I'm looking up there. I'm thinking, yeah, I could put that. I could put that. Yeah, but I really like that one. I could put that. But again, it's subject to change. My top 5 for anything today can change tomorrow.
Yeah,
it's never set in stone, as they say.
Yeah, no, that's I agree. I agree.
Anyway,
so we've already done my number 2 because that was No Time to Die, same as your number 3. So what's your number 1 then, Steve, for the movies?
My number 1 is what I was speaking about last week in the show, which is Last Night in Soho.
I really, really want to see this movie. I'm interested in the premise of it.
Have you seen a trailer yet?
I've seen the trailer. I think it looks really good. I really want to see it, but
what did the trailer show you though?
The trailer showed you basically it set the scene of a woman who was seemed to be having these dreams about what is, I presume, a prostitute from Soho. Was murdered by somebody, presumably Matt Smith. That's what I'm picking up.
She wasn't a prostitute. That's all I can say. I'm going to say that to you now.
Okay. Well, my assumption was that she was like either a prostitute or a night.
When you see the film and how it progresses, you will see what happens and how what happens, and especially when you get to the end of the movie, because there's more to it.
Yeah.
And especially the outcome at the end, physically the outcome at the end, and I don't know whether I saw it or not, but it's. I'm going to say this now. I've never really ever said it yet, but this is a horror movie in a way.
Yeah.
Without being too blunt, and it doesn't come wrapped as a horror movie.
I'm assuming in terms of it being horrific as opposed to being horrifying in terms of a scary sense. Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of jump scares in it. It's like theoretically, as jump scares go. Yeah, there are a couple actually. Thinking about it now, yeah, there is. But this film is many things. It's not just one. And even from the premise at the beginning of the film, when you're seeing her go to Thomas Mackenzie going to fashion school in London, but when she arrives, you get that sense of, what's the correct word I'd use? That seediness.
Yeah.
Which it isn't. I mean, Anya, when she sings downtown in the film, she does it so brilliantly well. Really good. The scenes, if you've seen the trailer, you've seen her walk out into London Haymarket, and you've got Thunderball on the big poster on the Haymarket screen there.
Yeah.
And they've really portrayed the 60s London very well.
Yeah.
It is just such a good film. I can't wait to bring that out on disc. I'm not even sure when it's going to come out.
Yeah. I'll probably pick it up on disc, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. I reckon your missus might watch it. I'm not too sure if it would be for her.
If it's scary, no.
But
that's not her bag.
But it's just the way it works. It's just, I mean, it's such a good film. And I just really, really, it's really sort of connected with me as a movie.
I really want to see it. It's one of my.
Matt Smith, for me, he's such a good actor.
He is a very good actor.
And he doesn't get enough credit for it as well, I think.
No,
I think it's a bit late in the year for this to come maybe an Oscar nomination. I'd love to say it would get one.
Yeah.
But it might come out too early. I'm not sure how the Oscars going to work in March next year due to COVID.
Yeah.
But I need to watch it again with the missus because she was half asleep. She woke up at one point in the film seeing what was going on, which is completely different to the beginning of the movie. So I might try and twist her arm and say, look, how about sitting watching this from start to finish?
Yeah.
And to say the soundtrack, I'm so pleased it's not a typical generic 60s soundtrack. It's so different from that point of view with who they've used.
Yeah. And it, as a movie, it appears to have really good visual stylings as well, separating the 2 decades that the movie's
It has, because
based in.
it does have actually when Edgar Wright was talking to Thomas Mackenzie about the role, again, he gave her 20 films to watch to put her in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only one she didn't watch, and that was Dario Argento's Suspiria. And if you'd ever seen Suspiria, you will get that imagery that's projected in that film to what you see in this film as well.
Yeah, I did feel like those vibes.
There's that lot of colour and just those bright colours that you get in Suspiria that you do get in this. And there's some great camera shots which are angled in different ways that you can just appreciate. And it's just such a good film. It really, really is. And I haven't felt this way about a film in a long time.
And it's great when you get a movie that makes you feel like that as well.
Yeah, it is. And Downtown was always in my head sometimes. That song, the soundtrack is. I do like the soundtrack and the Cilla backtrack, but Thomas Mackenzie does sing a version of it as well.
Mm.
And I've got the score now being released. That's coming shortly. It should be here. I'm hoping tomorrow. It's just been released from Mondo.
Yeah,
I picked it up with Amazon. But yeah, no, honestly, when you get the chance, definitely pick it up.
It'll be definitely one that's on my list.
Yeah. So do you want to?
I've just realised I missed out one somehow. I think it was probably because.
How come you missed out?
I think it was probably because I started talking about my number 3 one.
Oh yeah, you have.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Do you want to reiterate from last week, then?
Yeah, I'll just briefly touch on it. So my number 4, which is the one I missed out, was Ghostbusters Afterlife. So as I said last week, I was quite sceptical about whether or not this was going to be a good movie, and this was a surprising win for me. Critically, I think that the first half of the movie spends too much time exploring the first 2 movies, for those of us who are familiar with the content, but it does build up the character development for the new cast who's in there. Second half of the movie is much more evenly paced. There's some really touching scenes in the movie, especially for the more nostalgic amongst us, and I would definitely fall within that sort of category. And humorous, but not as funny as the originals, and likeable, and, like I said, surprisingly touching in parts. So definitely worth a watch. Want to take the family to. And because of the explanations are given in the movie, you don't need to have seen the original, but it helps.
I get that.
Yeah. So my last one, and I don't think that there's any surprise, considering the intro to the show where I wax lyrical about a certain movie, but my number 1 movie of the year that I have seen at the cinema was Spider-Man No Way Home, being the final installment of Tom Holland's trilogy. It really, I can't emphasize enough, it does not disappoint in any way. There's touching moments that will bring a grown man to tears in it. Like I said, one scene particularly, I never thought I would see that scene on the cinema screen, and it just warmed my heart to see it, shall we say. And it brought a tear to my eye. I don't mind admitting to it, as a lifelong fan of Spider-Man. I don't want to spoil it for people. Just get your backside to the cinema and see Spider-Man. Take the family. No one will be disappointed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right, lads. Lee here. Just want to say Merry Christmas, and thanks for all the great content this year. I'm looking forward to 2022 with lots more gaming. All the best.
Anyway, let's move on. So shall we have a look at our top 5 Blu-ray and UHD releases for 2021?
Okay, right. Let me just scroll down.
So Steve, what's your number 5?
It's very difficult, but mine is the Arrows special edition of Paul Verhoeven's Robocop. Now, this would be much higher if it wasn't being Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, it's just been given a release date.
The 4K. Brilliant.
Which I have already
pre-ordered.
Pre-ordered.
Yeah.
Along with American Werewolf in London.
Nice,
Okay.
Very nice.
So I do own both of those actually, as the special editions, which comes with the book. poster. But I actually watched this again the other night, funnily enough, just out of pure coincidence. And the Blu-ray doesn't look bad at all.
No.
There's slight grain in it, but that's, I think, just due to the cut of the film at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you probably still have that same similar grain in the 4K version.
Yeah.
Although this is off of a 4K transfer anyway. Which comes with the theatrical release and the director's cut as well.
Yeah.
I think the director's cut is slightly more gory with the scenes with Ed 209 in the boardroom, if you remember that well.
Oh, yes. How can you forget?
You see, I would have run underneath its legs.
If you could have got to it.
Well,
It might have squished you.
I don't know. I would have dived under it. Personally, I was watching thinking, well, they were pushing him about from left to right, and then he got pulverized over the model of Delta City. But I would have ran under his legs. He wouldn't have been able to shoot under his legs because his arms wouldn't have gone that way.
Oh, that's true.
And then by then they could have pulled the wires on the machine because it was rigged up to a portable bits of electrics or whatever. But no, this film is class. It's one of my favourites of all time.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Robocop, where have you been? What rock haven't you been under? To be honest.
Yeah. And are you old enough to be listening to this podcast?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that in the cinema the first time it came out, I was stunned by it, and the special effects in it, the practical effects with Murphy losing his arm, for example, and just the way they put the Robocop together and how it works, and I love the way they satirize news in this.
Oh God, yeah. I think that this and Starship Troopers are brilliant examples of news satire.
Yeah, and even to the point that they will put in the news item, they'll put an advert in for a game that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
You think they do something like an atomic game, which is an explosion of a mushroom cloud comes above it, But it's such a good film. There's nothing I can't say more about this, but it's one of those 80s movies I think that sticks with you forever.
Absolutely.
And if you don't fancy purchasing the 4K, if you don't own a 4K, but you've just got a Blu-ray player, it's well worth picking up this 2-disc edition.
Yeah.
I think Arrow's special editions in the box with the how they present it in the packaging, I think it's really done well.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to someone else who we'll talk about in a minute, maybe Studio Canal, slightly different because they're not so robust, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
But yeah, I've got a few special editions now from Arrow, and that is very well put together as a product,
Definitely.
Okay, so
for my number five is a 66-year-old movie, and that movie is The Lady Killers. So this is a classic macabre black comedy starring Alec Guinness and Peter Sellers and a cast of other famous people. It's the
is it Margaret Rutherford in it, isn't she?
I can't remember.
I don't know who the old lady is now that they're trying to kill, but
I can't remember who the old lady is, but
I'm going to have a look what you're rabbiting.
It is such a great movie, and one with personal ties to me because my father drove the train in the movie.
Yeah.
I was stoking the engine, which gave all of the steam whenever they tried to kill anybody on the movie. And evidently my father actually did meet the cast as well.
Which must have been nice for him.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. He was also the Queen's train driver at one point. But, yeah, it's been digitally restored by Studio Canal. It's a total classic movie if you've never seen it. It was... Tom Hanks did an Americanized version of it a few years ago, not as good as the original. If you've seen it on TV before, it looks very sort of like washed out and blurred. That's because you're probably looking at the SD version of it. This is a brand new digital restoration of it. It looks crisp, it looks pin sharp. The colours, it has a definite colour palette to the movie, but there's a lot more range to the colours on this as well. And it's just great to see such an old movie having a new breath of life being, breathed into it. So definitely one that is worth collecting.
Because you got, other cast members. Well, I remember Herbert Lom being in it.
Yeah.
Who, if you don't know him, he plays alongside Peter Sellers in the Pink Panther movies.
He does, yeah.
Peril. Frankie Howard's in this as well. Kenneth Connor from the Carry On movies, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it is a very lovable film, if you can say it's a lovable film, because they're trying to knock off an old lady.
Well, the story is that they've done a heist and they've got about, I think it's £60,000. So it sort of like shows how staged this movie is, which would have been the equivalent of millions nowadays. But they've done a heist. And they've been lodging at this old woman's house and been pretending to be musicians. And
Right, yeah.
she finds out the fact that they've knocked off somewhere. And she says, "You must report yourselves to the police. We'll go straight away as soon as it stops raining. And, you can hand yourselves in and we'll hand the money back." And Sir Alec Guinness tries to talk to her and saying, "Well, it's no good. It's a victimless crime because the insurance company's already paid out and it would just be a hassle for everybody. Nobody really wants the money back, and we want to do this so that we can help our families because, so-and-so's got a poor family and so-and-so's got a poor family." And they try and reason with her and she keeps on insistent. And then they decide they have to knock her off. So they draw the short straw sort of thing. And the guy who picks it pretends he's going to try and kill her until he gets her alone, and then says, "Oh, you rush off to the police and I'll look after the money while you do that." And he's trying to run off, and so they kill him when they discover that, and then they start having mistrust between themselves and they all kill each other. I'm sorry, guys, it's a 66-year-old film. If you're saying you've just spoilt it, tough, it's a 66-year-old movie. I think that the statute of limitations expired. But it's just such a lovely movie as well. It's a comedy of an era and an era of comedy at the same time. It's brilliant.
I have to see what version they got on the Sky, because I've downloaded it and I've got it saved in my box.
Oh, on the disc, you also get the black and white version of the movie as well.
Actually, I think I'd prefer to watch the black and white version. I think the black and white version was the original, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
I think it was.
Because colorization doesn't always work sometimes.
No. Anyway, what's your number 4, Steve?
My number 4, lost it now, where is it? Is the Indiana Jones collection. Well, -1. I've never actually got the 4th disc out yet.
Yeah, because you'd never want to watch it again.
Although I might do anyway. But
it'd be good for a coaster.
No, I'd be curious to see just what the quality is like.
Yeah.
But what's there not to like about Indiana Jones? I mean, I don't know how many times we've bought these movies over the years.
Yeah.
Whether it's on VHS, which I remember doing that with Raiders Lost Ark.
I remember getting it on Betamax first and then getting it on VHS.
Oh, really?
And that was when buying a Betamax cost 80 quid.
The transfers are really, really good for the first 3 films. I mean, the 4th one's pretty much a given it'd be pretty good anyway. But considering that the first ones...
I don't know how they shot it, but if they shot it digitally, you might find it's upscaled 2K as opposed to a true 4K.
I mean, I haven't actually looked at the specs, to be honest, but I've only watched the first 2 so far, and they're very very good.
Yeah.
This has, I think, about 8 discs in it, if I remember rightly, something like that, something stupid. It's one of those large ones.
Yeah.
But I think it's if you're a fan of those, you would have it in your collection at some point, Haydn.
Oh, I will be. It's down to 50 quid now.
Yeah, there's a few that are limited time at the moment, aren't there? That's going with. Certain movies that have been released over the last year. There's quite a few that have gone on to limited edition sort of prices, but yeah, it's just one that I just like. The first movie I remember specifically, that one being on an August bank holiday weekend in Bournemouth when I lived in Reading, and it was tipping with rain. I said, let's go to the cinema. We went to the Odeon, not knowing too much about the film, but when you look at the poster, it gives you a bit of an idea from knowing it was a Steven Spielberg movie, Harrison Ford, and change your perspective on a film like that. It just stuck with you for life.
I remember going to see it. It was the first movie I went to see at the cinema twice in the same week because my dad took me on the Saturday after he finished work, and my dad used to be a lorry driver then. And my dad was always late. So what we always used to do was go and see the sort of like 7 o'clock showing. But we'd get there at 7:10. So he always missed the first 10 minutes of a movie. And then he'd make me sit and watch the credits, wait while I came and, tidied up, and then brought the next people in. Then we'd watch the first 10 minutes of the movie and then go out. that was going to cinema with my dad when I was a kid.
Wow. Okay.
Nowadays they would be kicking you out and not letting you say, "I missed the first 10 minutes. Can we just stay?"
No, you couldn't do that these days.
No, you couldn't. But 2 days later on the Monday, I went with my 2 cousins to see the movie because my cousin phoned up. She was back from the RAF because she was stationed at Catterick, and she'd come back. And back then I lived in Stotesy, which is sort of like 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm going to take my brother. Do you want to come and see it with me? And it was the first time that I'd ever gone to cinema with her anyway. But, it was a big adventure because I got on the bus because my mum and dad always drove everywhere. So I got on the bus, I went to the cinema, went to Middlesbrough, to the Odeon again, same screen, everything. I watched the movie again. And I remember initially thinking it's Han Solo, but wearing a fedora.
Only you would say that.
Yeah. And come on, I was 8 or whatever it was. But I remember thinking that, and then thinking, oh no, he's Indiana Jones, and think what a weird sort of name and stuff like that, and then just falling in love with the movie. It's such a classic movie as the first one. The second one's a bit, okay, it happened. The third one is my second favourite out of them, and that's when it ended. And then there was there's a legend that there was another one, but nobody ever watches it. So,
well,
case in point, Steve, with your, I haven't opened that one.
Yeah. I mean, I remember seeing the third one at High Wycombe in THX. I remember seeing that there on a Saturday morning. And I went to see the second one. I think I went to see that at Leicester Square. But for all you people that are a little bit younger than us and saw it on TV, you would have seen a cut version of the film.
Yeah.
Because they did edit it slightly.
Yeah.
So I recommend you go and watch it again and see the difference. And see if you can notice it.
The John Williams score in it is classic as well.
It's as much as classic as Star Wars or Jaws is.
Or Superman.
Yeah, it is.
It's iconic, because if you start going, da, 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 you know immediately what you're talking about.
You actually came out of the cinema with that in your head.
Yeah.
But there's some film scores that don't do that. But for some reason, he got that one so right.
I must admit, the one thing about Harrison Ford as an actor, because he's always been my favourite actor, but I've always found tremendously frustrating about him as an actor, or as a person, is he has a great love for Indiana Jones, who he created that character through his acting. But he also did the same thing with Han Solo, and yet he seems to have no respect for Han Solo. And other than the fact that he's not the lead in Star Wars, I don't know why he doesn't have the warmth to Han Solo that he does with Indiana Jones, given the fact that in some respects quite similar.
But he's made more money out of Han Solo probably than he had with Indiana Jones, theoretically, you think. Anyway.
Yeah, but, you can have an ex-job that you were still quite proud of, even the fact that you didn't get paid as much.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, I've always found that to be really strange about him. The fact that he doesn't recognise how loved he is in that role, or doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird, but anyway.
Anyway, let's move on quickly because it's
number 4, Steve.
No, you've got to do yours then.
Oh, I've got to do mine, haven't I? Sorry. So mine one is a collection as well, and a collection I've only just bought, and that is the Spider-Man 1 to 3 collection of the Tobey Maguire movies of Spider-Man, because I've always been, Spider-Man was always my number one superhero. Other people would be liking Superman or Batman. Number one, always been for me, has been Spider-Man. Number 2 was Batman. Number 3 was Superman. Number 4 was the Hulk. But when these came out, we'd only ever had that 1970s TV, made-for-TV movies of Spider-Man, really, or those weird Japanese ones, if you ever got to see those ones. Well, the Japanese or Chinese, whichever, but their version of Spider-Man. And then this hits the screen, and it was just sort of like, my God. And Tobey Maguire played such a lovable Peter Parker, who, showed a lot of strength, but also was very vulnerable as a character as well. And the casting for Mary Jane Watson, William Dafoe as the Green Goblin, and then was it what's his name? Who played Dr. Otto Octavius?
Yeah, the guy that was in Indiana Jones.
Yes, and was also, funnily enough, in my number one movie as well, which was Spider-Man: No Way Home. Alfred Molina, is it?
Might be, I can't remember now. But
yeah. But anyway, there's such a great cast in those movies. They work so well. These are, remasters of the movies in 4K. They look beautiful. They don't really look aged. They're just so good to have. And I also bought the Amazing Spider-Man collection as well, because I was sort of like, which one do I put? But I put 1 to 3 because they were my favourite movies.
Mm.
But going back to the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies now,
yes,
I feel better towards them.
Yeah, I sort of always alienate myself from them, to be honest.
Yeah, the Andrew Garfield ones are not bad. The thing is, Tobey Maguire played the best Peter Parker, Andrew Garfield played the best Spider-Man, and Tom Holland outdoes both of them as both characters. But
yeah, could you briefly touch that last?
Yeah. But in terms of them, that's a really sweet collection. Is that 3? And it's only 30 quid now. So
which isn't bad.
No. And it, like I said, looks good, and it's Dolby Atmos surround sound as well, which is good for me.
Yeah.
So your number 3, Steve.
My number 3 is Studio Canal's special edition of Total Recall in 4K, which I think you got as well.
I did. Was that released this year?
Yeah, sure.
I thought it was 2020 it was released, but I'm
not too sure. Well, I think it was probably the beginning of this year, more than likely.
Yeah, I can't remember. I thought it was last year, but
it doesn't matter. It's there anyway. I'm not going to say much more about it. If it wasn't, then hey ho.
In that case, then I would I would have knocked off the Lady Killers for Total Recall because I've got that and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Just again, the packaging is superb.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Because this one's a hard box.
Yeah.
I think, actually, without actually digging it out, because I can see where it is. Didn't this come with a soundtrack as well, I think, didn't it?
Yes, it did, I think.
So you got a CD version of that. There's a nice booklet and poster as well with the new design poster, which is on the cover. Again, another cracking movie from the 80s. That, one of my, there's so many good Schwarzenegger movies from the 80s that came out. Some of them haven't been given as much love as that one did, to be honest, where Commando hasn't had a nice restoration yet. And Predator has had a poor restoration, but just in a standard box, not as much love as this Studio Canal's gone with this one. Yeah,
it was a 2 CD soundtrack. Hate to tell you, though, 23rd of November 2020 released it.
Well, there you go. Whatever. I don't care.
But you bought it this year, so then.
I bought it this year, so it's in my list. I probably did buy it when it came out, but Zavi didn't release it until New January.
Yeah, it was technically released then, but Zavi didn't deliver it until yesterday.
No, that's it. Yeah. Anyway, do you want to go on to your one? Because we've got to move on a bit now.
Yeah. So my one is a 55-year-old movie. And it stars Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner, Vincent Price, and a load of other famous actors. And it is The 10 Commandments.
Yay.
And I know that you're thinking, I've gone mad. But the reason why I've put this in is the movie's a great epic movie, don't get me wrong, with a brilliant cast. The acting is, I would say, sometimes as stiff as Thunderbirds, but still, it's quality acting. Anyway, but it's quite amusing seeing Charlton Heston constantly sucking his stomach in on all of the topless shots that he's got in the movie, trying to make himself look thin. But the reason why I've put this so high is because if you want to see a movie of how a movie should be made in 4K, what it should look like for an older movie, this is the definitive as far as I'm concerned. It's got Dolby Vision and audio on it. The colours are beautiful in the movie. It's just the quality of the reproduction of such an old film movie. It's well worth looking at, get yourself out and pick it up. And it's nearly 4 hours long as well. So it's nearly as long as Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's just a little bit shorter though, with less slow motion scenes.
Yeah, whatever. Go on, carry on. I'm listening. I'm just doing something.
That's it. That's all I want to say about it. But worth getting as an example of bringing a 4K movie back. So, Steve, what's your number 2?
Well, it's your number 2 too.
Yeah, we've chosen exactly the same. I love the fact that we were so in sync with this one.
So, I think for both of us, having the Star Trek 4 movie collection in our release has to be there.
Yes, it does.
There's rights and wrongs whether it be number 1, but I think because Star Trek the Motion Picture is getting its separate release, that will make the difference for being a number 1 movie.
Yeah, that the director's cut of the movie.
Which is coming out next year. I don't know.
It's supposed to be next year.
Right, yeah. I still say that this could have been a bigger set, but due to the pricing of 4K, I don't think I'd want it any bigger because of the pricing, because I wouldn't want to pick it up at an exorbitant price.
Again, 50 quid at the moment.
Yeah, they could have probably done these in, I don't know if they would have done it in 3s, maybe, but it's not easy.
I think in terms of a reproduction of the first 4 movies, I think they've done a really good job. The colours are better than the Blu-ray version. The sound's really good as well. Definitively the best way of watching these movies, but there's not a significant difference between the 4K and the Blu-ray, because the Blu-ray is of such good quality, and you get in the thing, but you can just get the Blu-ray separately. But I completely think that doing the first 4 movies was the wrong move, and they should have done the first 6. And I do think it was overly expensive for the first 4 movies.
2 3s. I think you should do it as 2 3s. But we're not going to even see them individually, I don't think.
No. Well, I think that we will see them individually eventually. But yeah, I think if they'd have said £45 for the 3 at a time, that would have been more palatable than the 80 quid for the first 4 movies. Because why can't, I mean, nobody's going to miss Star Trek 5, but The Undiscovered Country is a really good movie.
Yeah, certainly is.
Yeah, but that's my only gripe with this set. It's not the 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think the special features are pretty much similar to what you've got in older versions.
Yeah, well, they're definitely the same as what you've got in the Blu-ray version of the new set.
But I'm talking my old Blu-ray set that I've got.
Yeah.
Which is separated correctly, shall we say, as a box set goes.
Yeah.
So First Contact is on the Next Generation box set, if you're with me. So
yeah, and Generation should be as well. That was
I've got 2 box sets on Blu-ray, which one's Next Generation, one's original cast.
Yeah, I've got the original series and TNG as one big box set.
What, for the movies on Blu-ray?
For Blu-ray, yeah.
Yeah, I bought mine. I think my set might be the earliest set, then I don't know if it was or not.
Yeah.
They came out as 2 sets. But yeah,
good movie collection. Definitely one to get if you're a Trek fan.
I think so.
Yeah.
But how many times have we bought these movies now? I dread to think, to be honest.
5
or 6 times.
VHS version of the director's cut DVD. Laserdisc DVD. The director's cut DVD, Blu-ray.
You missed one out.
Which one?
The widescreen VHS as well, which I picked up.
Yeah, actually, good call, widescreen. So that's 7 versions of these movies I've bought. Jesus, I need to get a life.
and it's the same. It's the same with Star. I'm not going to go into Star Wars now, but yeah, very similar idea. But
well, I've now got all of the Star Wars movies in 4K.
I don't want to own them all in 4K.
Yeah. But, all 8, and then that one that was put between 7 and 9. So, what's your number 1?
Isn't it your turn? Isn't it? Or mine?
No, you go first.
Oh, okay. So mine is another Studio Canal edition. This time it's Basic Instinct, and this did come out this year because I just doubly checked while I was at it. Again, a great box set. Again, it does have a flimsy, like most Studio Canal ones. It does have a sort of a flimsier box, but that can be forgotten about because of the quality of what you have with the disc that you have there.
Yeah.
One of the most sexiest thrillers you're going to see out there, personally, I'd say.
Yeah.
And definitely one of my favourites. Such a good movie with a class score from Jerry Goldsmith. I can't give this film enough praise. And Sharon Stone became an icon from Crossing Her Legs. Simple as that.
Yeah, she did. She owned that movie, let's face it.
But she did, and it's when if you watched it on VHS and you was about the fifth person to hire that out, you'd see a little bit of bad lining across at one point in the movie because people kept pausing it.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. And then, do you remember when you used to have the VHSs where they had the jog wheel, so you could go one frame at a time as well?
Yeah.
Oh, they were the days.
But I remember the Mickey take out of this from Naked Gun.
Yeah, was it Naked Gun?
I think it was the Beaver Shot they called it, didn't they?
No, there was another one where they had it was a comedy one where the Beaver one was where Priscilla Presley was up the.
Was it Hot Shot Part 2 or something like that? Maybe I can't.
Yeah,
remember.
it might have been. That sounds more like it. Yeah.
But anyway, this film is superb. The quality of the 4K is just unreal. It really is good quality. The sound mix is really good.
Yeah.
Such a good film, really good. And if you haven't seen the film, I won't spoil the twist at the end.
Yeah, brilliant.
If you haven't seen it. Go on then, yours.
My one is, I already mentioned the first this movie before so far tonight, and that is is June, and that is the Zavvi exclusive 4K UHD Steelbook Blu-ray version of David Lynch's 1984 classic. So it's a lovely hard-covered sort of collection, but it's got the 4K steelbook in there as well. It's presented in Dolby Vision with HDR10, and it's got a DTS HD 5.1 surround sound track with it. There's loads of commentaries and special features and more stuff on there. There's a sort of like 3 discs in it in total, and then some cards and poster and like a little booklet and all of that sort of stuff. It's a really, really super nice collection. And like I said before, I love the film. So what can you say?
I mean, I own the non-steelbook edition from Arrow.
Yeah.
Which is it's virtually the same other than the steelbook in it, but
yeah. I mean, it's still the Arrow release, but it's just the exclusive Zavvi box.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit worried because I was wondering whether it would arrive for Christmas, but it came actually on time, more or less.
Yeah.
Zavvi being Zavvi. So, yeah.
Unfortunately so.
Yeah. I mean, definitely more. To me, the pacing of that movie was a lot better. I think it translated a lot of the story better in terms of the way that it presented it. Obviously, it's a little bit more dated in terms of the visuals. And there was some artistic license taken with some bits of the story, which I wasn't so keen on. But overall, I still think it's the definitive version.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine. They can not like it because it doesn't impact me liking it. So anyway, shall we do our final roundup, which is the top 5 TV shows of 2021?
Happy Christmas, Haydn and Steve. Hope you have a good one. Happy New Year as well. Thanks for all the podcasts this year. Been excellent as always. So I'm just off now to go watch Witcher 2. So excited to watch that. See you soon. And again, look forward to all the podcasts for next year. All right, Craig. ZX Spectrum 16K. See you guys.
Cool. Okay, so.
Or TV streaming, I should say.
Yeah. My number 5. I'm going to say one thing first before we actually go on this list. Right. There's one I didn't put in here, and there's one you didn't put in here, which we should have both put in here.
Okay.
Do you know what that was?
No.
That was Cobra Kai this year.
Yeah, I didn't think for me, these were all stronger this year. I thought that Cobra Kai Season 3, while still enjoyable, wasn't as good as these ones. It would have been number 6 for me.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was sat there thinking, should I put Cobra Kai in? Should I put Cobra Kai?
I know. Anyway, so
Season 4's out at the end of the month.
Yeah, I've seen the posters already for it.
Yeah, and I've got my T-shirt.
So my number 5 is probably the only Disney Plus I think I've actually ever watched, which is WandaVision.
Okay.
And why did this connect with me more than most? I think because of the way how they produced this to be similar to an old 60s TV show with Bewitched and stuff like that. I think that's why it worked so well for me.
Well, the first 3 first 3 shows, wasn't it? Were all shows from different eras, either Bewitched or...
So they started, I think, 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s, I think they didn't they, the way they did it. So they would have had, I can't remember now, I think, so they would have had Bewitched as one, then there was it the Partridge Family might have been another, or
Yeah.
Brady Bunch, or...
But they did like a Modern Family take on it as well.
Yeah, I think it was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Not totally intentional, but yeah, just a really good series and a nice slot to fill, because this, I think, was this the first thing to come out since...
Yeah, since
Game?
yeah. Other than Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Yeah. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I think it worked really well. Something you could actually just, I think, did I binge watch this? I can't remember if I did or not. I might well have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really good.
Well, WandaVision was my third show.
Oh, okay, so I haven't seen yours yet. Where's yours? Oh, there you go, yeah.
Yeah, WandaVision was my third, and for me, much the same reasons as you, it was different, it was new, it was refreshing. It gave a different insight to the characters that we'd already become accustomed to in Marvel, seeing that different side of them. There was good humour in the show, but while there was humour, there was also the opposite in it as well. And, there was the menace and foreboding, and especially when things started to break down and you could see it and you had all of the theories about what was going on, and you were looking at the hexes and, stuff like that, and the setting up of new characters that'll be joining the Marvel MCU as a result. And the introduction of the showing old ones, such as, the FBI agent who was on Ant-Man previously, because he was the guy who was always chasing after Ant-Man, wasn't he? So, yeah, it was quite quirky, I felt, at parts. Yeah, good show.
Yeah.
My number 5 was one, this took me by surprise because I disregarded it last year because it's to do with football, and I thought Snorefest, but I then got told actually football's sort of like how it's framed, but it's not about football. It's a much more sort of character driven story, and that is Ted Lasso. So I was late to joining the party on this. As you know, I don't enjoy football, and this is a soccer version of football for our American listeners. But like I said, that's only the setting for the show. It's one of those really sort of like heartwarming kind of shows that's got some good story beats to it. You just don't have to be a football fan because it's about the character interactions. It's very much a sort of like character based show. Really well worth watching. If you get a chance to see it, watch it.
Okay.
So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Resident Alien.
My number 4 is Resident Alien. Interesting.
And all I can say about this is that me and the missus haven't laughed in a TV show in a long time.
Yeah.
I think the last time we ever laughed in a TV show would be probably Modern Family.
Yeah.
And there's nothing been out there that makes you laugh the way this does. I mean, the way he plays that character.
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, it's so deadpan straight.
Oh, God, yeah.
But it's still funny.
It's basically, for those of you who don't know, it's about an alien who crash lands on Earth and is stuck, and he assumes the identity of a member of a small American town. I might be Canadian, I'm not sure which. And while trying to find his doomsday device, he gets involved in the local residents' lives and dramas while still trying to protect his identity as an alien. Personally, I find this to be an incredibly well-written show. Alan Tudyk, who, if you were thinking who's he did the voice of the robot in Rogue One, he was also on Firefly previously as well. He was a pilot on Firefly.
He was in 24 as well, I think.
He might have been.
Sneaky feeling. I can't remember.
I stopped watching 24. But season 2's coming 27th of January. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, this was something that was completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
This show. And it is really clever. And it's very humorous, from an alien out of water trying to blend in with the community as being a human.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what's your next one?
Well, my next one we've already said, which is WandaVision.
Okay, so my number 3 is Squid Games from Netflix.
I considered this one for my top 5, to be fair.
I think I love the premise and idea of the show. the idea of being in this sort of rut with debt, which happens in the real world so much, and you getting the opportunity to write that debt off. It's a different way of looking at it.
It is.
And with the idea of the premise, very similar to something like Hunger Games of the past and stuff like that, where your only person you're thinking about is yourself. Not that you think that originally, because you do team up for some of the games as you progress to the final, to the end of the show. But it was just something completely different. And being Korean as well, they do have some good stuff. They've had some good films back in the day. And there are some other good shows that are worth watching as well.
And to be fair, as a dubbed show, it's not bad. It's not a bad dub, you know, because sometimes you watch a dubbed movie or a TV show and it's awful.
But apart from it being foreign, that doesn't take away and it doesn't hinder you at all in watching this show.
Yeah.
With some interesting storylines which progress to a bit of a shock at the end to a certain degree. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm assuming there could be a sequel.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. You said there was a shock at the end.
Well, not really a shock, but it's just the way it premised out.
Yeah. I'll be honest, and my son will back this up 100%. He was really interested in what I thought about this because he'd gone and watched it before he even knew it was even on. And he was like, Dad, you got to watch it. And he kept saying to me, what do you think's going to happen next? Him knowing what was going to happen. And when it got to episode 4, which is the one where they went into, it had the cop was looking at the files and stuff like that. It was then that the whole story, I knew exactly how that was going to play out. And I said to my son, beat for beat, what was going to happen on the overarching story, not obviously on an episode-to-episode basis, but this is who he is, this is who he is, this is who that person is, that's going to happen to that person, that's going to happen to that person. I said, that's my theory. And my son, bless him, he tried to throw me off, and he was like, you haven't thought of this and stuff like that. And he was doing it because I predicted the whole of the rest of the show. I just could see it, because all of the clues were there in terms of everything. And there was just so many subtle little things that were edging you to answer these questions in terms of what it all was. But it still didn't stop me from enjoying it because the episode to episode stuff, the drama that happened in it around the overall story was so good. The concept of, like you play a tug of war, and if you lose, you lose your life, sort of thing, or playing marbles, and if you lose, you die.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Really good show. And I think it was something different that would take the world by storm the way it has done.
I have a theory about that show as well. The game that they played at the beginning, or the main character played, where he had to throw the coloured card and he had to do something in order to be able to get invited to the Squid Games. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. They played it on the train platform.
Yeah. My theory is that one colour you went as a contestant, and the other colour you went as one of the helpers who helped do it. Because I'm sure there was a bit that said somewhere that everybody who picked a certain colour were in as contestants. So that's my theory. That's how they got the staff to do it, that they did that.
No, maybe I don't. I have to rewatch it to see that.
Yeah, that was one of the many things that I was picking out on it. But you know me, I mean, you've heard me, or the listeners have heard me talking about when I dissect Star Trek and stuff like that, and I did exactly the same with Squid Games because I really enjoyed it. It was great. It was refreshing. It was different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Your turn.
Well, my number, was that your number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, my number 3 was WandaVision.
Okay, my number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't finished the show yet, but I had to put it in because I was watching it again last night, and I can't even really say where I've got to, but I'm just loving this show. And Dexter New Blood for me is a good return to seeing the blood splatter analyst who isn't in this show as blood splatter analyst because he's got a different pseudonym to his name to keep himself under wraps. And the show is really good. I'd like to think we could have more of this after this 10 out of 10 series finishes.
Yeah.
But I've got an idea what might happen. Well, not will happen, but I've got an idea how it could go. But I hope it doesn't. I just think Michael C. Hall plays his character so well, and he is balmy at the moment because his sister's in it. I can say that, but his sister's dead, and the character that plays her is actually in it, and only in his head that you see her. It's him talking to himself regarding the situations he's been putting himself into.
Just hearing you talk about it, it sounds like they're going to do that modern day trope of killing him off at the end of the season.
Well, that was my thought, and then whether or not, but I hope not. I would like to think they don't do that. But at the moment, I was really wanting to watch the next episode last night when we watched it, because it's got to a pivotal point of something's happened, and I think, oh God, what's going to happen now?
I'm not being funny about, but generally speaking, I think that there are certain plot twists now that are overused, that would never use, that they're overused as a modern thing. And one of those is killing characters.
I mean, I haven't seen anything about that, to be honest. I've not seen any news headlines. I've not looked for them, but it's not like it's being kept under wraps, or it's not a lot of information about it, because hearing they were bringing this out, because I love Dexter to bits. It's a great show.
But the thing is, with all of these, we know even if they kill a character off, they will find a way to bring it back.
No, but then I say regarding his sister who died. I think the idea of this was to bring her back in the show, because it would be good to have her in it, although her character died. So yeah, but now I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm up to I'm up to episode 6 now. I think might be something like that. Episode 6, episode 5. But they've not all been shown. You can't binge watch this. It's one a week on Sky. Yeah. But I'm just a little bit behind because we're watching something else. But it's really good. It's if you've never watched Dexter, it's something. If you've got the time to go through the 7 or 8 series, it's worth doing. And it's very satisfying at the end as well. Even at the point of the fact of where, before this series starts, there's a lot of drama, a lot of character building, and there's a lot of characters that pop in and out of the series. Yeah. Within his life, what he's up to.
I mean, from my looking in, Dexter has been very much one of those shows that's been loved, like
Game of Thrones, if you want to say.
I wasn't going to say Game of Thrones. I'm trying to think of what it's called, because I'm getting tired and I just can't think. The drugs one. What was it called?
Oh, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. That was it. Could not think of the name for the life of me there. Yeah. To me, Dexter's been one of those sort of shows that seems to have had the love and the following that Breaking Bad fostered.
So Breaking Bad, this came out before Breaking Bad, remember?
Yeah. But it seems to have a similar sort of following. And I've looked at it sometimes, but I've never actually really committed to it. And the only time that I actually put it on, I kind of put it on in the background and regretted doing that, because I thought I don't know what's going on. And then I just sort of pulled away from it again. But I want to go, and I want to go the way through the whole lot, and I want to see
it took my wife, to my missus, 2 or 3 attempts to get her to watch it, and then it clicked. Because even from episode 1, season 1, he's giving a monologue while he's driving through Miami. Yeah. And what sort of character he is, and it's so clever.
Yeah, so much to watch, but not enough time to watch it.
No, and I think if there was something to own, even hard, have a proper copy of it, will be that.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think it's difficult to get hold of. I think you can get it on Blu-ray, but even that's a bit tough to get hold of. You can get it in it looks like his trophy case, because what he does is every time he kills somebody, he gets 2 pieces of glass and their blood, and he puts it and squeezes it together, and that's his trophy. And he hides them in an air vent in his house. And in there, and he's got all these loads of slides of people that he's killed for whatever reason. Yeah. But
yeah. I mean, the Blu-ray is £45 on Amazon.
That's 8 seasons, I think.
Doesn't say.
Yeah, it's a long show.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it at some point. I just don't know when.
I mean, they are digitally around anyway on whether it's Netflix or Sky or somebody.
I think that's probably how I'll watch it. Yeah. Anyway, my number 2 is Loki. So this is Tom Hiddleston reprising his character of Loki from the MCU. This came hot off the heels of WandaVision, and it was after Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Oh, sorry, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well. But I really enjoyed this show. I've always loved the character of Loki because there's just something, the way that Tom Hiddleston plays him, he is wonderfully mischievous as a character. He's an interesting character. He's not bound by the same levels of rules and convention. And it's so amusing seeing his character, who is full of himself, and he's a god of Asgard, and how dare you talk to me like this, you mortal, and stuff like that, and then seeing him being treated so oppositely of how he would be expected to be treated. And I love the whole story arc of the TVA, or the Time Variance Agency, that was brought in, and the different variants of Loki as well. I mean, you've got Richard E. Grant playing the old man Loki, as it were. You've got a young kid Loki. You've got like a black Loki who killed Thor and now has his hammer. And then you've got Crocodile Loki as well.
That's mental.
And there's so much wit. There's so much humour. There's so many good action sequences. There's so much lore. We get a sneak peek at the next Thanos level threat to hit the MCU that we know is coming. And just a great show. And there's going to be a season 2, which is even better.
All good stuff if you're a Loki fan, then.
Or a Marvel fan, one or the other.
Or a Marvel fan, yeah.
Yeah. So the last one, we have the same.
I think you could not have this in the top 5.
I don't think you could have this at any other position other than 1.
Yeah.
To be fair. Do you want to say what it is?
So this is Ricky Gervais's season 2 of Afterlife.
Yeah.
It just carries on giving what the last series gave, emotion and heartache. And depending on who you are and where you are in your life, you have seen or gone through something that might match, or know someone that's gone through this. And very emotional, can I say?
Yeah, I mean, season 1 hit for me not long after my mother died, and I know that Ricky Gervais's character in this series, basically it's his wife who's died, but grief is still grief.
It is, yeah.
And you go through, whether or not it's your parents or whether or not it's your partner or whoever, you go through a similar process irrespective, because if you love somebody, the process is similar for grief, but very different on an individual basis. And I watched this and I could completely empathise with Ricky Gervais and his character all the time, because it was exactly how I was feeling with it all. And it was quite cathartic, really, for want of I think it is the correct term. Just the anger at life, the anger at everybody around, that someone's gone, that you've lost that person, and his portrayal of it is Oscar worthy. People don't think he's a good actor. Watch this, actually watch it right the way through, particularly right at the end of season 2, where something happens very akin to what I have explained. And I was sat there watching it, and you were on the edge of your seat and saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And to get that context, watch this show. It's on Netflix. It's brilliant. And the next season is coming next month.
14th of January.
Yeah, that'll be a binge watch all in one go, because they always release the whole thing all at once.
If that's 6 episodes, that'd be one night.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of grief, I think, Ricky Gervais does, over the years. I mean, he's made a few mistakes.
He's fostered. I don't think he has made mistakes. I think he's made a decision on the way he's want to go, and people haven't understood.
No, but with some of his Grammy, when he was doing some of his presenting and the Grammys and that, he's deadpan with how it is, but some people didn't take to his style of anything.
No,
I think the Americans, no disrespect to anyone that I know that's American, but sometimes I don't think they at that time got him or understood him. And probably don't realise that The Office was an English program before it was an American. But hey ho.
Yeah, with Steve Carell.
Yeah.
And it actually should have only have lasted 3 seasons, not 10.
Yeah. But I rewatched. What did I watch? I watched the Christmas episode of Extras the other night.
That is brilliant.
Which is the Christmas episode is where he goes into Big Brother.
Yeah.
Which is the last episode they ever did of Extras, basically.
I think that episode is done as a complete his critique on show business. That's exactly what that is.
Possibly, yeah. And if you haven't seen Extras, I highly recommend it. If you've not seen that show, because it is so funny.
And all I can say is, of course, I've seen everything. And that is a quote from this scene. From the show, by the way.
Listening to Kate Winslet talk about Womb Ferret.
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, he's produced some great shows, and when he did Derek, have you ever seen Derek?
Yeah, many times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, because that's a flip coin to Afterlife, where you're talking about death, but you're talking about someone that has a
learning disability.
A learning disability in this situation. So completely different, but it works on the same level.
Yeah, he plays characters. Forget David Brent. The other ones. He plays characters that you can care about,
relate to as well.
Yeah, and
maybe not with Extras, because again that's something slightly different. But
I think with Extras, the special, you could relate to him, but I think he was still to the.
But that's I think Extras is having a pop at the industry anyway, to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think it is.
How that is because of how when he was an extra. And he then would pester someone to see if he could get some lines. It was on the other foot come the end of the Christmas episode where someone come up to him and said about it, and he was like that. And the good friend of his in the show, she sort of cottons onto that while sitting there listening.
Who's his love interest in?
His good friend in Extras. The character that he's always joking with and takes us to dinner all the time.
Yeah. She plays the love interest in Afterlife. Yeah, she does. Trust me. Not his wife. He's the nurse or the carer.
Well, I'd have to double check what she was in, but yeah, anyway. But it's just clever how that pans out.
Yeah.
But it's just that's a pop in the industry to a certain degree.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the end of the you're still getting a celebrity each week, whether it's someone that's a TV presenter to a Hollywood movie star to anyone. It just works so well.
Yeah, definitely. Ashley Jensen.
Yeah, but it's fantastic, and yeah, I think Extras has probably gone under the radar a little bit because that was quite a while ago. Where I think after that, where you had other stuff he's done.
Yeah.
So people may have say they should have seen Derek, hopefully.
I think a lot of people stayed away from Derek because they thought it was going to be Ricky Gervais taking the mick out of people with learning disabilities, and it's not. It's very compassionate.
Yeah, but he's one character that always swears all the time, wasn't he? You thought him a bit annoying, but that was the way his character was.
Yeah.
But again, no, it's, I mean, if you've not seen any of his movies, watch the one where he plays a dentist.
Yeah, Ghost Town. Again, that has traits, that sort of stuff he's done in the past. There's also the invention of lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see how he's developed his characters over the years. His characters are much more relatable now. Yeah,
and I think even the two characters in those two movies, you see sides of him there from other stuff he's done anyway. And I always like seeing George Michael come out of the bushes.
Oh God, yeah, there was some funny bits there, wasn't there? Such a shame about George Michael, and even David Bowie.
Yeah,
singing the song "Little Fat Man."
Yeah, when he went in the VIP lounge of that and thing. But then you got guy that played Harry Potter.
Yeah,
flicking a Johnny.
Yeah, because he fancied Ashley Jensen.
And it lands on Diana Rigg.
That was so funny.
I got those on DVD. I think I only got them on DVD. I bought them at the time they came out. Then Blu-ray weren't around then, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think that there were.
But I've got the two box sets of extras on DVD, and then the Christmas one on Blu-ray.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it's some really good stuff. If you've not seen some of that stuff, I still recommend that. The Office, actually, because
Well, the Office is a classic.
it's very cringeworthy character he's done with David Brent, but again, it's still, you're seeing people that you have seen now earlier in their careers,
Yeah.
other than him, obviously, and
Well, Stephen Merchant, for example, he does a cameo in it. And obviously Ricky Gervais did a lot of work with Stephen Merchant.
yeah, and you've got there's a few other people in that have gone
Martin
on to do
Freeman.
success. Yeah, very successful in his careers.
Yeah.
So anyway, are we coming to an end? 'Cause
I think we are, but let's not forget this month we've got Witcher 2, Book of Boba Fett, The Expanse final season, Cobra Kai, all coming this month to watch in this area. So this list, if it had been done on the 31st, might have looked very different.
yeah, because I need to rewatch The Watcher.
Yeah.
Witcher, sorry.
Witcher. And I'm looking forward to seeing The Expanse because I enjoyed the other ones.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
No, I've been meaning to. I've been told about it many times by a lot of people.
Yeah. Get watching it. It's well
But
worth
again,
it.
There's so much stuff out there to watch. There's not enough hours in a day.
No, indeed.
You know.
I know exactly
Anyway.
what you mean. Anyway, that's it then, guys, for this year, for 2021.
Yeah.
We'll be back for 2022, I suppose. Not sure
When?
what week. It'll be first or second week, probably, won't it? That we'll be back.
Yeah, it's middle of January, isn't it?
Well, it'll either be, presumably, it won't be the second, probably be about the 9th it will be recorded, won't it? So
We'll be back to work by then.
yeah, that'll be the day before I go back to work. Joy.
Yeah, what a thought.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, have a lovely Christmas and a happy New Year. And it's a
Enjoy
good
time
night.
with your families.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a good night from me.
And a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
Green Giant.
Nice one.